It's Friday night, so you know things are about to get freaky. Welcome to The Freak Show. Here are your hosts, JustinFREAKIN and a very special friend of FREAKIN.
Good evening. SirWarmups, welcome. How are you tonight, my friend?
I'm marvelous tonight, thank you. How are you?
I am doing very well. Very happy to see you. Welcome to the Freak Show. Hello to the chat. Hello to our very special guest co-host this week. I hope you enjoyed the vibe of the countdown and everything.
I loved the countdown. It was very vibey. It makes you feel so welcome. Thanks.
That's
tumbling.
I see. That's why I don't like that you can't hear the music right now, because I'm still vibing on this shit. But
it's unfair.
I'm digging the vibe you got going on over there. Check that hair out.
Thank you. It's a mess. I have to do this just to keep it out of my face.
How do you pull that off?
It's just like magic. So it's a magic type thing. It's like magic.
I assume there's a lot of product involved.
No.
No, like you don't use a wax.
Nope.
No gel.
Nope.
No hairspray.
No. Oh no. Hell no. No.
You're pulling that off all natural, is what you're saying to me.
I don't think magic is natural. No, it's quite synthetic. Yeah.
Introduce yourself to people who might not be familiar with you.
Hey everyone, my name is SirWarmups. It should just be Warmups, but some asshole who has no followers, his name is Warmups, and I can't have his channel. It's cock blocking me. So if you guys could mass report Warmups, then I can take that channel name.
I want to get you to change it to something else. I think it would be funnier, and you would do better on Twitch if your name was SirWampus.
Like the Discord guy?
Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah, Discord's mascot's name is like Wumpus or Wampus or something.
Oh, I mean, Wampus is a word, but like, you're Sir Wampus. It's a royal Wampus.
What's Wampus?
I don't fucking know. It just sounds funny.
I bet it's like a dick word. It means dick or something, right?
I don't think so. You can look it up. Urban Dictionary, that shit.
Okay, here we go. A strange, objectionable, or monstrous person or thing. I don't think I should be
No, you're certainly not that. I'm sorry.
Not even a right winger.
My apology. Well, I didn't know, man. I didn't know what wampus meant. I just thought it was a funny saying. Like, I associated with like a clown or something. Like he comes in like, oh, I'm a wampus, like that sort of thing.
I honestly think you were trying to trick me into changing my name to this, and you knew what it was the whole time.
No, I swear, dude, I am not that fucking smart. That is giving me way too much credit. We got to start off with the fact that I don't even know if I remember your name.
That's fucked up, man. Does the audience know
we went?
Do they know the history?
We went. I've told them, but we need to recap. We went to college together, but not the time that I actually graduated from college. When I first went to college, when I was 18. That is when I met you. This was back in 2002 at Western Kentucky University.
Yep. And we were both freshmen, but I don't know if you were in there for the same reason I was, but we were in the honors dorm. I was in there because I signed up super late, and it was the only place that had any availability.
I don't know how I got. Okay, so I did speech and debate in high school, and I had a friend on the circuit from a school, like I think he went to school outside of Cincinnati, and like he and I became close. We Justin, that was my roommate. We were Justin and Justin. It was kind of weird, but like we ended up hating each other by the end of the semester just because like we didn't get along. We thought it was gonna work because like we weren't close friends, but like we saw each other once every couple of weeks for like debates, once on a Saturday or something while we were doing the debate circuit. So we thought that would work out well, and no, it didn't. We ended up hating each other, but you lived down the hall. He had some kind of connection because where we lived was called the Penthouse. It was supposedly like the most coveted, like floor of the dormitory on the entire campus. Do I have that correct?
it was the most coveted floor of the most coveted dorm because you had to be an upperclassman honors student to be there. And then my understanding was the only way you were in there otherwise is if you were like myself and you signed up basically too late, and that was the only place with a slot. So it was like the best kids and the worst kids in one place together.
That sounds about right. The way I got in there was Justin had some kind of hookup, and he was like, I got us in the best dorm. He specifically said that. So, like, we get there, they take us out to dinner. There's a whole new, were you there for that? It might have been
I wasn't there for that.
It might have been like a night or two before like classes started or something when like we first moved in. They took us out to dinner. Like there was like a T-shirt that we ended up like getting at some point in time. You never got one of the
shirt.
You didn't get one of the T-shirts.
I showed up the day before classes started. I was not prepared. I didn't do good either.
But we went to a concert together, at least one, maybe more than one. And I think we went to your hometown. I don't think I went to your house, but I went to like one of your buddies' houses or something. Yeah,
we went to a Non-Point concert in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm. But then,
we might have done some serious drugs on the way there and on the way back.
I think that was a separate. I think the serious drugs was a separate time, and that's when I went to one of your buddies' houses with you in your hometown. I think that's when we were doing some serious drugs.
I don't remember. I remember us. I remember us taking a road trip. I don't remember where we went.
We took multiple. That's what I'm saying. That's how close we were. We took multiple road trips together.
Yeah.
At least 2 or 3.
Yeah. It was fun, but it was so fun that we couldn't remember all of it is the thing.
But I'm saying now that I don't know that I remember your name.
That's hurtful, but it's understandable.
Okay. You say it's hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
But I one time, like Sparkles, who used to be my co-host on this show, I told her that I had never had Bojangles. And she said, you're an idiot. You've had it twice with me. I told my best friend I'd never seen an Austin Powers movie. And he said, dumbass, we watched the third one in the theaters together.
Mm-hmm.
So, forgive me.
Have you considered smoking less?
What fun is that?
Life is great without it, man. It's just a matter of getting past thinking it won't be. Okay. You know, in due time, everything in due time.
I'm probably self-medicating in a way. Like, I don't like me when I'm sober. Other people don't like me when I'm sober. It's a thing.
It's understandable. You got to do some building, you know. It's hard. It's real. It was hard for me.
It's kind of night and day. But all right, I'm gonna take a shot at it. Are you ready?
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm right. I might say a fucked up name just to fuck with you now. No, Will.
It's Will, yeah.
Fuck it.
You got it.
But
I knew you knew.
Also, you said you might have said it to me on stream.
I might have. Yeah. Well, I think I came in your chat once and I was like, "Hey, it's Will." You know, or something like that.
And I'm probably like, fucking who? What? I don't know, Will. And I know several Wills.
Here's something you may or may not remember. I don't know if you remember this, you might actually get pissed at me now. About 3 or 4 years ago, I found you on Facebook because one of my friends at the time, I was telling him about a guy I went to school with who had his name legally changed to Freakin. And
I never made that happen. That was not a thing. My name has never been legally changed. I talked about it.
You told me.
Did I tell you that?
I could have sworn your ID actually had it.
I'm good at Photoshop, but I don't think I was back then.
Yeah, there was no Photoshop. I must have misremembered it. That's how the lore works, you know. Like it's like the Mandela effect or whatever. Like
I talked about doing that a lot, though.
Yeah, I literally remember seeing an ID that had freaking with an apostrophe on it. And that's the story I tell, is that you actually have an apostrophe in your legal name. And I thought that was fascinating.
The apostrophe's on my tattoo. So you're not misremembering.
Okay. Anyway, so a few years ago, I'm telling my friend about this guy I went to school with named Freakin, and he's like, "That's not real." And I'm like, "Yeah, let me show you." And I'll look you up on Facebook, and I wound up adding you, and then I remember seeing like a couple weeks later, seeing you like make something that was like an overt death threat against somebody. That's how I perceived it. But you said something like something about right wingers should be killed or something, and I was like, God damn, what the fuck? And we got in an argument in DMs. You remember that?
Nope.
See, yeah, really serious. I wound up blocking you because you threatened to kill me also.
No way. That no.
I swear to God. Yeah.
No, that doesn't.
Yeah.
Nah, man. That doesn't sound like me at all.
I think you were joking, in fairness, but like that's.
Yeah, I would joke, but I like not even like. That doesn't sound like something I would joke about.
I know. Yeah.
I would go. Usually, it would be something sexual, like my joke about pissing in Dan Crenshaw's eye hole. Like acting like I'm gonna like beat somebody up or murder something. That is totally not me.
You know what? Hot take. I don't think he actually lost his eye. I think that is stolen valor. What he's doing.
Oh, Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah.
I don't have the thing here. Hold on. Have you seen my Dan Crenshaw?
No. You do a Dan Crenshaw impersonation or?
No. Hold on. I've got a graphic for Dan Crenshaw.
Okay.
You see, you gotta give me just a second because this is a freak. I mean, this is a Troll Patrol thing. This isn't a freak show thing.
Gotcha.
So I gotta go pull this up.
And while you're looking for that, another thing you might not remember is shortly after we had that exchange, or before we had that exchange, I actually called into your freak show one time while I was driving to ask you about something, and you fucking chewed me out like so hard. It was really funny.
You called into the Troll Patrol like this was like when I was first getting started.
Probably.
It was. I want to say it was fall or something, but also my memory issues. But I'm glad we've hooked up and we've been able to talk it out. I don't even remember having an argument with you, but man, I'm glad to have you here tonight.
I'm glad to be here. I appreciate it, man. And there was no love lost. I thought the whole thing was hilarious the whole time. It was great.
Well, I'm just saying that like talking about being physically violent towards somebody is not really my thing. I would do something more like this and say that I would give anything to piss in Dan Crenshaw's open eye hole.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's the kind of joke I would make.
Is that what it actually looks like? Is that his actual eye hole?
Okay, so I did that in Photoshop, and I did it just kind of like what I thought it might look like. But I have since seen a picture of him pull the eye patch up, and I'm pretty fucking close.
Nice. Well, good job.
I'm pretty fucking close.
Good times. Well, I retract my statement. He actually lost the eye. Okay.
Did he lose it in combat?
I guess we could go there. We could go, maybe he lost it, because he got caught banging somebody's wife or, any other sort of, terrible way that we wouldn't be proud of him or thank him for.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. No matter how he lost it, I still want to piss in his eye pussy.
Yeah. Wait. Now that you mention it, that is kind of what that...
That's a Sparkles thing. She coined that term.
Mm-hmm. It's like a roast beef sandwich. It kind of got shaken a little bit, Man,
you had to ruminate on that one, didn't you? That took you by surprise.
Yeah, no, you're good. It was just, I got a visual. I'm a very visual person. When you say things, when you describe them a certain way, I just see it.
Give me that eye pussy, sir.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I'm going to do here tonight is show you some visual things. We're going to do some different stories, odd little bits from the news, quirky shit. But the first thing I want to start with is you said you might want to wind up in Florida, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you sure after this past week and Hurricane Ian, you would like to end up in Florida at some point in time?
See, I've got a really long memory, and I know that Florida has had a history of hurricanes and other sort of inclement weather. I've spent a lot of time in Florida. I've been there during a hurricane. Yeah, I'm there for it, man. I think the trade-offs are worth it.
Well, I don't know if you would think that if you had just bought a new McLaren.
I would never buy a McLaren.
I wouldn't either.
No, these people are stupid.
But it is getting... Whoa. It wasn't a very long video of the McLaren getting washed away, but there you can see the pictures. He apparently had bought it within the last week.
Mm-hmm. Well, insurance will take care of that, surely.
I would assume he's got insurance. Ooh, is that where it ended up?
I think as a general rule, if you can afford a McLaren, you can afford to replace a McLaren.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That's what it looked like pre getting swept away.
Well, that's a Rolls Royce right beside it. That costs more.
I have no idea what any of them cost.
Yeah.
When we were doing the story of the asteroid that NASA sent the satellite out to, and you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
That was like 7 million miles out from Earth, and I was talking about how that's incomprehensible. Well, that Rolls-Royce McLaren money is kind of incomprehensible to me.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot of money. That Rolls-Royce right there, the engine in that car probably costs more money than like you and I have ever had combined.
What do you
just
think?
That one thing.
Is it a V8? Is it a V10?
I believe it's going to be a V10 or a V12, yeah, depending on the model.
God damn.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even need that much fucking power. Why would you have a V10 or a V12?
Well, that's basically an armored vehicle. Like, that's the kind of thing that could actually like get hit by a train and the people inside it survive. Like, the car wouldn't be fine, but the people inside would live. So it needs a lot of horsepower just to move the thing.
It don't need
Very
fucking
heavy.
12 horsepower, though. It could go on 8.
That's a statesman's vehicle right there. And the McLaren, that's just like a dick replacement therapy kind of thing.
The midlife crisis car.
Yeah, midlife crisis. Like, oh my God, what have I been doing with my life? Oh yeah, I'm making money. Let me blow some of it on this thing that makes it look like I know how to use my dick.
The comments, this did not age well. It's the Hurricane's car now.
Mm. Oh, what a douchebag. He's got groceries in the frunk. What a cocksucker.
What else are you gonna do with your McLaren?
Like, the meme is that it's a grocery getter. Like, yeah, I have so much money, I take my McLaren to get the groceries. Like, this is my everyday car, you know?
Am I so poor that I don't even get what the fuck you're talking about?
Well, imagine being rich and being a dick and also like owning it. That's what this guy is doing here.
But like, I would think you're not taking this car on like interstate trips. You're only taking it out and about in town. You're taking it on grocery trips.
This is a small batch car. They make like hundreds of these, not thousands, you know?
Yeah.
So if you have one, it's the kind of thing that you're probably a reasonable owner is a collector. There's somebody who probably puts a few 100 miles on it a year tops. Yeah.
Yeah, just going down to the store just because you want to drive it some.
Never. No, never.
No, you don't think so? That's what I would do with it. You know, because what's the point of having the car if you're not going to drive it?
Dates or collect, like these things actually accumulate value. Like, not like a normal car, you drive it off the lot and it loses value. You buy one of these, park it somewhere, and it actually becomes more valuable over time.
Man, like, I don't give a shit about value. If I'm gonna own a car, it's to drive it.
Me too. That's why, you know, like I said, I wouldn't own one of these. But if somebody gave me one, well, I would sell it. But if I had to keep it, I wouldn't drive it. I would just let it accumulate money. I'd dust it occasionally, probably.
Is it a good race car? Like, I don't know if I've driven one in Gran Turismo or something.
Yeah. No, McLaren's since we were kids, man. They've been in the Need for Speed games.
Okay. So I've driven one on a video game then.
Yeah. These are literally supercars. Is the class of car you would put this in?
Okay.
Yeah. Most people never get to touch one of these.
So I brought up racing. Are you a sports fan?
No, I think sports is retarded.
That's kind of an ableist slur.
Yeah, I think people who like sports
we're
should be slurred.
We're woke moralists over here. The chat would be upset if I didn't say something.
I'm sorry,
about
chat.
That.
Well, let me rephrase what I watched too much Vosh is the problem. I just assume everybody's into ableism now.
Wait, does Vosh do that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, don't tell me that. He's been nothing but nice to me.
He would only call someone retarded who wasn't, like, if you could actually use that against somebody and it be true, you wouldn't say it. You know what I mean? We would only use it as a pejorative against people to whom it couldn't actually apply.
But that's
like, we would only call cute girls ugly, right? We wouldn't call an actually ugly girl ugly. That would be fucked up.
Why are you calling any girl ugly?
Well, if she's cute, she's just gonna be like, well, fuck you. I know I'm not. You know.
Why would you do that? Would you want to?
I wouldn't.
Would you? Okay, you're a handsome man. Would you want to be called ugly?
I don't care.
I mean, I guess if you have established your boundaries and you joke around with each other, I mean,
I wouldn't take being called handsome seriously either. Neither of those things really do anything for me.
Neither of them make your dick hard, is what you're saying.
No, or soft. No, dick is
just a slight chub.
Nope. I can't even feel it right now. No, it's no friction whatsoever.
I am so sorry. I was trying my best to transition into this. I got a baseball story.
Oh, okay.
Are you willing to hear it out?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, because people are involved. You know, I like people.
Yeah.
I love people.
I found this interesting, and this happened 2 or 3 weeks ago, and checked the Cleveland pitcher Karinchak's hair to make sure he wasn't cheating.
Okay. Yeah, see, I used to watch sports when I was a kid, and I remember stuff like this happening back in the days too.
So I don't understand, if you've got sticky stuff on your hand, why does that help you in baseball? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, because it makes your skin tackier. It gives you a better grip on things. So, for example, with a baseball, you know, if your hands are wet, slippery, you can actually get a better grip on it, get it at a better place. You can release it at a better spot, make the ball faster, make it spin differently, things like this.
Oh, okay. It gives you more grip control on the ball. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The hat. He's caressing him.
That's a good meme. He's like, "You happy now? You gonna beat off to this later? Good."
Oh, we gotta watch that again.
Gonna have my hat.
He kind of petted him like a little kitty.
Yeah. I can just imagine a scenario where he goes to mess with a guy's hair, and it's got wax in it or something he's not used to feeling. He's an old guy. He keeps his hair high and tight. He feels something he hasn't felt before, so he has to like send the guy into the lab to get a.
We gotta get a hair sample.
Yeah.
So did they not find anything? So the umpire proceeded to awkwardly pet Karinchak's hair in front of the crowd at Target Field and found no evidence of foul play.
Good for him. You know, this is important though. Baseball is a sport that, you know, if they don't maintain the integrity of every single person out on the pitch or the field or whatever they call it, then everything falls apart. So they should be doing things like this.
I was under the impression that Major League Baseball had no integrity. They ain't got no integrity.
It doesn't to me. If it were up to me, I would say just everybody should be cheating, you know, with every ounce of their being. They should cheat their asses off.
I do think it would be more interesting if you're just like, you're trying to find creative ways to cheat. But I mean, like, you'd still have to penalize them to get caught. You just kind of, you know, we're not going to suspend you or anything. You know, you just got caught. Here's your, you know, we'll fine you $10,000. Ah ha ha ha, or whatever. But you still get to play because we like a little bit of cheating, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if you think about it, like a lot of people would say the golden age of baseball was like in the I guess the early '90s when Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire were and Barry Bonds. All these guys are hitting like record amounts of home runs. They're all swole, like fucking Giga Chad looking massive dudes going out there with like tree trunks for arms, knocking balls out of the park. And then everybody's like, oh, you're steroids, you're cheating, you're setting a bad example for the kids, and party stopped, bring it back.
That was a wild time. I remember that song, like 98, 97 or whatever, when Sosa and McGuire, I guess it was a couple of summers in a row they did it.
Yeah, it was a big thing, man. It was fun.
I barely remember that shit. I also want to say it coincided with like a Batman movie coming out one summer. We had McGuire hitting dinghies. We had a Batman. Life was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Seal was making "Kiss from a Rose." Yeah, those are good times. Absolute classic.
Oh my god, my buddy loves that fucking song. It's like it's such a banger.
Yeah, I will never admit how much I love that song.
What? Why? I think you just did, didn't you?
Fuck.
Or are you saying that you love it even more than what you've let on? Like so far you've been like, oh, I wouldn't change it when it comes on the radio, but now, or Spotify. I'm sorry, I'm dating myself, aren't I? But now it kind of makes it seem like I like it a lot more than that. Like I owned it as a single as a kid. It's on my like in rotation Spotify playlist.
This is actually just like this is like the time when I told people that I was closeted.
Did you come out?
I'm told that telling people you're closeted automatically takes you out of the closet, because if they know you, it's one of those kind of things.
Are you gay?
Like,
not that there's anything wrong. I suck dick. Not that there's anything wrong. I just did because you could crush some pussy. I know this.
No, it's a joke. But the joke is, like, if you're closeted and you say you're closeted, then you're not closeted anymore, right?
So you're not in the closet about Seal anymore, is what you're saying.
That's true. I adore that song.
It's just that one song. You're not doing Fly Like an Eagle. You're not.
I think just I've never like explored his catalog, but that which of it I have heard has not done anything for me. It's just "Kiss from a Rose."
Oh, yeah. But if I start singing that one song, "Never Gonna Survive," get a little crazy. Like you're totally into that one too, right?
I don't think I've heard that song.
Oh, you have. I suck at singing. You've heard the song. It was like ubiquitous. It was right before "Kiss from a Rose." It would have been like a year or two before.
Oh man, those were a couple of years before that. We're getting into like Ace of Base territory,
I love Ace of Base.
Fuck yeah, absolutely.
One of my all-time favorite acts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolute classic, man. Those were the days when it was like transitioning from tapes to CDs. So all the stuff I really loved, I had on tape, and then I bought it on CD. So I had like multiple tapes and CDs of Ace of Base.
So what was your first CD? I know what mine is. As bad as my memory is, I know what for my first two, because I bought two CDs at the same time. I know what my first two purchases were.
So I vividly remember this because there's the one that my actual first one was one that was gifted to me, and then there's the one that I actually bought for myself.
Okay,
so
cool.
The first one I was gifted, when I was gifted my first Walkman, was TLC Crazy Sexy Cool, which was a fucking masterpiece album. I don't care what anybody says. Like top 10 ever.
That had like Creep on it, didn't it?
Creep, Waterfalls. Yeah. Excellent stuff. And then the first one I bought with my own money was Weezer's Blue album, which is to this day probably top 3 favorite albums. Love that album. So fucking, oh man.
I would have figured you were a Pinkerton man.
I also adore Pinkerton, but it doesn't have the same sort of timeless aesthetic to it. Pinkerton's a little too dark to listen to every day,
Okay, so now when did you stop listening to Weezer? Which album?
So, that's a great question.
There's nobody still listening to Weezer, right?
No, they don't. They're not really. No, they don't really do the stuff that I like anymore. The Red album was, I would say, the last one that was actually front to back good.
God, I didn't listen to it. I was long gone. I have no clue when it even came out.
You're on Make Believe though, right? Make Believe was a classic.
That's the last one I bought, and I don't think I ever listened to it all the way through.
Oh man, it's so good. You gotta get the original.
Maladroit was like the last one I listened to, like, and I don't think I cared that much for it.
They tried to make a Pinkerton sequel despite not being angsty anymore. It did not work. Maladroit felt very forced. Not a good album.
Well, apparently, Rivers Cuomo is not a very good guy.
I've heard mixed stuff about him. He seems like a sweetheart, though. You know, I don't go to concerts anymore. I haven't been to a concert since like 2007 or 2008. But I was gonna get tickets to, you know, Weezer does a cruise. Have you seen that shit?
Well, they were on tour with like Fall Out Boy and some other act, and like
Green Day.
Yeah, that seemed like that'd be fun.
Yeah. So they had Fall Out Boy and somebody else doing the cruise with them it was 2020. It was in March. And I got 2 tickets for me and my friend. We were gonna go, and it got canceled because of COVID.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I missed out.
That was rough.
I missed out on Faith No More. I was gonna.
Oh, they got back together, or?
Well, they're like, they never really like break up. Like, they just go on hiatus and do shit every now and again. But they were going back out on tour. I was gonna see him in like August of that year. And
Mike Patton's amazing.
Oh yeah, I'd suck his dick, hands down. Like, dude, you have given me so many hours of entertainment in my life. Look at us, we're nerding out on music here.
Actually, I'm more impressed by his voice work, to be honest with you, than his
fantastic.
Music. Yeah.
Just any band that he is associated with, any act he does, I'm down for it. I'm there.
Yep, he's great, man. He's one of the last what do they call it when a guy's good at everything? A Renaissance man.
Renaissance man, very cosmopolite.
Yeah, very cool guy.
I don't know if I have any music stories to transition to do like. Oh, I do. Do you like country music?
I don't mind some of the stuff I grew up with, like the 80s and 90s stuff. I don't really know much modern country.
Okay. Well, I've got a 90s country star for you, and for some reason, it's gonna be like the 3rd or 4th time we have talked about her on this program, and I don't know why. But Shania Twain.
Mm-hmm.
And last time we talked about her, I think she pissed herself. I think that's why we were talking about her. It was something like that.
Poor girl.
I don't remember what, like, she just did it on stage or something. But Shania Twain says a dinner with Oprah went sour after religion came up. So, which one do you think is, like, ready to throw down over religion? Who do you think is the controversial beliefs here?
Oprah is, from what I gather, Oprah seems like something of an elitist. Kind of like, you know, big brain, but thinks her brain's even bigger than it is kind of person. So I would wager she said something really condescending to Shania Twain about her face. That would be my guess.
Okay, so you're thinking like Shania Twain, like a devout Christian or something?
Yeah, I could imagine her like saying, you know, something about, you know, some sort of moralistic thing, probably not too heavy, but probably also kind of obnoxious. And then Oprah saying something like, "You don't actually believe in God, do you? You fucking idiot." I could see her saying something like that.
Oh, that would win so many points for Oprah with me. I would love her after this. The dinner took place at a restaurant, said Twain, who described Winfrey as such a smart lady. It was great to just sit and have real talks, but as soon as we started talking about religion, it all went sour. You're still the one, Singer recalled. So I said, let's stop talking about religion. Winfrey is quite religious, said Twain, who described herself as someone who isn't dedicated. So I kind of thought Shania Twain seemed cool. Because, like, she was on some talk show, and she was fucking... She seemed like somebody I'd hang out with.
This seems like it seems like she misspoke, and what she means to say is that spirituality was the problem, not religiosity. If she's saying she's religious, but she isn't dedicated to her religion, it seems like she's not really describing what actually happened, right?
So she said she was seemingly game to discuss religion with Winfrey, even if it meant the two might disagree, but she quickly learned that such a conversation wasn't possible. There was no room for debate. And I like to debate. Shania likes to debate. See, I told you she was my girl. I'm gonna have to become a Shania Twain fan now. Canadians like to debate everything, so I'm like, oh, okay, it's time to change the subject. Twain
That's racist.
Being Canadian isn't a race, is it?
Oh no, to say I am blank, therefore you're putting yourself in a weird box, right?
What did I say?
No, her, not you. I'm saying
Oh.
Shania is being racist.
Oh, or
Like,
two.
You can't get it towards Canadians.
Shania's the Canadian.
Sure.
Oprah's from like Detroit or something, isn't she?
Surely we can agree that like Candace
Chicago?
Owens is black, but like racist against black people, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So Shania's doing the same thing with Canada here.
Being Canadian isn't a race.
Well, sure it is. Yeah. Well, okay. All right.
Like you can make poutine jokes and it's totally fine. Like you can put like a hockey jersey on and be like, I'm from Canada. Fucking South Park does it with the Terrence and Phillip heads.
Well, that's currently socially acceptable because, you know, Canadians aren't like an oppressed minority is the thing.
They're doing the oppression. Because, like, have you heard about the resident schools?
Yeah, I know all about that, actually. I think that's a feint. I think this is what we're seeing here is Canada trying to be really deferential about things because they know that they're about to have the wrath of God drop on them like a hammer.
Do you believe in God?
No, I don't, but they do.
But Shania said she like, oh, we're Canadians. We don't give a shit about your God. We debate shit.
They use this as a shield to deflect from criticism. This is the oldest trick in the book. You know how Canadians are.
I don't think I've known all that many Canadians in my life. I mean, I've met Canadians, but I don't think like I haven't had a friend that lived in Canada.
See, now you're showing your true colors. You're supposed to say, like, some of my best friends are Canadians, okay? We're okay. I'm good with Canadians. Canadians will love me, okay?
Steven Crowder is one of my best friends. You're right.
He's Canadian?
Yeah. Brian Adams played at my birthday party when I was a kid. Jordan Peterson was my professor in college.
Hang on now. What's wrong with Jordan Peterson? I defy you.
Oh, no, man. We can't go there. No.
Oh, man.
You want to
seems like an okay guy.
Back that truck up, dude. I'm gonna have to turn you on to Echoplex, and they'll tell you need to tune into Echoplex at 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays for the Intellectual Dollar Tree. And they'll break down why Jordan Peterson isn't someone to be admired for any reason.
Have you even read 12 Rules for Life?
Oh, no.
It's so good.
Man,
it's so funny. It's so funny.
Oh, I'm sure it's funny.
It's hilarious.
Now you're bringing me back. You had me in the first half there. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, dude. Okay, I place comedy. Comedy is my highest order virtue. Okay, if something's funny, nothing else underneath it matters. You know.
But he didn't intend it to be funny, like a woke moralist.
Well, we can't really ever know, can we? You know, a lot of people think Gigi Allen was like this super gross fucking degenerate. I just think he was trying to be funny. You know.
I think he was just fucked up on heroin and doing things to get a rise.
Well, I like to think he did it for the memes. That's what helps me sleep at night.
He did it for the lulz. Yeah, I could go with that. But know, I think Jordan Peterson is dead serious.
There's no way.
And if you find that funny, I'm totally into that. I get that perspective, and that's one of the you would really like Echoplex. He is hilarious. He is hilarious. But I thought you were reading 12 Rules for... Is that the one where he talks about... No, it's the Maps of Meaning where he talks about his grandmother brushing pubic hair across his face or something. Like, he's fucked up.
I listened to the audiobook of Maps of Meaning while I was traveling, so I don't actually remember that part. He might not have wanted to speak it aloud because he did the voiceover.
No, I think I've heard it. I think I've heard it.
Huh. That's fascinating. Actually, I'm going to make a note to look into Jordan Peterson's grandma's pubes.
Oh God, I think I have a Jordan Peterson video. God damn.
It's in the old notepad there now.
I do. Do you want to watch a Jordan Peterson since it got brought up?
Yeah, no, yes, please. Let's do that.
Also, I had another encounter earlier today. See, I get ads on Facebook for people who are also podcast streamers, content creators that are the same size and sometimes a little bigger than me and stuff on Facebook, but people that are buying ads, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I interact with every single one of them. I'm such a troll. But like, this is the Faith Over Fear podcast, and I was talking to them earlier. And the dude said taking a class on that doesn't make you intelligent. Some of the most intelligent people believe in the Bible. Look at Jordan Peterson. And I laughed so hard. Anyway. Yeah,
you're kind of doing the Oprah thing there, though, aren't you?
Well, how am I doing the Oprah thing?
Like you talking, you can't invoke like the logical fallacies contained within religious texts and then expect to be able to have a conversation with somebody. You just say that when you want to dismiss them and make fun of them, right?
I'm trying to remember how the conversation actually went. I think it wasn't anything about it was his use of the word truth that I took issue with.
Okay, you were right then. That was the right thing to do.
So like that's I don't care, and that's what I kept explaining to him, because like I don't care that, and he kept saying I was trying to get him to drop his faith. I'm like, that's not at all what I'm trying to get you to do. I'm just trying to have you have an honest conversation.
Yeah, you should have led with the part where he thought he had the truth on his side. You know that makes you righteous when you say what you said.
I can't remember how it went. Are you seeing what's happening to me over here with this dumb fuck browser?
It's a lot to juggle. So you know what? I'm going to talk to your chat while you find this thing here.
I got you. I got it now. It now. Here is Jordan.
I tried chat.
Here is Jordan Peterson on with Piers Morgan.
Oh God.
Oh,
I don't like Piers.
Incel community. Incel being these weirdo loner men who are despicable in many ways. Is that you? Are you the intellectual hero to these people?
Yes.
Sure. Why not? You know,
Based.
people have been after me for a long time because I've been speaking to disaffected young men. You know, what a terrible thing to do that is.
He's gonna cry. He's gonna cry. He's gonna cry, man.
That's on brand for him, though, right? That's what you expect. That's what you tune in for.
He is a fragile little. Look at him. How many tears are we gonna see? Is he gonna bawl?
Hang on now. I thought it was okay for men to cry and show emotion.
Totally, but not when you're this supposed self-help guru trying to tell people how to live their life, and you're grifting off of them.
I don't know, man. I don't think the grift would work. I don't think it is a grift, because I think the things he's saying, if he's able to accumulate wealth from these people, it's because what he's telling them is working, and they got money to throw at him.
No, or they're just stupid and they don't see how this is just the same repackaged. What was the 90s book that everybody went nuts over? The Gift or some shit like that. Fucking like, it's just the same nonsense. I
don't know about that one.
It's woo. All right, let's see JP cry here.
Uh-huh. Ooh.
I thought the marginalized were supposed to have a voice.
What's making you emotional? Talk about that.
Well,
Is he
God, you
wrong?
know, it's very difficult to understand how demoralized people are. And certainly many young men are in that category. And you get these casual insults, these incels. What does it mean? It's like, well, these men, they don't know how to make themselves attractive to women who are very picky, and good for them. Women, like, be picky. That's your gift, man. Demand high standards from your men. Fair enough. But all these men who are alienated, it's like they're lonesome and they don't know what to do, and everyone piles abuse on them.
When she said,
But you understand that this is the same people who are calling everybody else snowflake and saying you need a safe space, and they're just words, you're offended by words and shit. Like, this is the same crowd. That's who he appeals to. Yet it's this weird dichotomy. Fancy geeks. Man, I love you. Do you see what I'm talking about?
I see what you're saying. I see where you're coming from. And I think that if your assumptions were correct here, then you would be completely correct in what you're saying about that. But I think that this is a comedy show. I don't want to get too far into this. I know people who are really outspoken members of the, I'm going to use air quotes here because I find this unbelievably cringe, incel community. And there's one guy that I had like a series of conversations with on stream, kind of like debates. And I think that on average, the people who identify themselves as incels are misapplying the label. And I think that they do it in a way where they're kind of trying to actually be a part of something that makes them feel like they have a way of alleviating some of the problems in their life. And I think that's really, really counterproductive. And I think it's awful. And I try and talk them out of being like that. And then you have the group of people who are like actual incels who, if you call them that, they get reclusive, and it's like, or even defensive about it, you know? And I think that Peterson thinks that's the group that's being referred to. And I think those are people that actually are marginalized and need to be, maybe we could do something to help them. And I think you're talking about the first group, the group of people who are calling themselves incels and wearing it like a badge of honor. And I would agree that those people are, those people are a problem. But then there's a group of people who are being further marginalized and further, I would argue, oppressed by the idea that they're being blanketed under that same category.
Well, okay, I will say that I am generalizing and just painting like, as opposed to talking about like these individual incels, I'm talking about just the whole right-wing media apparatus. This dude works for the Daily Wire.
Wait, so you're just calling all right-wingers incels?
They all have...
It's okay if you are. I just want to make sure I'm understanding what you mean when you say it.
Well, I'm not necessarily the incel part of it isn't what I'm focused on here. I'm focused on right-wing propaganda, and Jordan Peterson is part of that right-wing propaganda individualist mindset that wants to take down the constantly talking about Marxists and postmodernists, using those terms interchangeably, and nobody even knows what the fuck he's talking about.
That's fair, yeah.
So a lot of times so I went back to college the second time, and my minor, and I ended up getting a second degree because it was just a couple more credit hours, was in philosophy. So I'm interested in what Jordan Peterson has to say in philosophy, and he's absolutely full of shit. I just think it's funny. What he's crying about right now is a director called him like the king of the incels or something. She's just slinging it as a pejorative the way you did the R slur earlier.
Yeah, sure. So but the difference is that none of the people who the R slur would actually be describing literally are capable of taking it as an insult.
What? I do not. I don't want to go down this route at all. What is what you're saying though? Is because there are actual incels in the right wing community that Jordan Peterson is talking to. You don't want me to be so harsh to them. And you think you could talk them out of being like mass shooters or some shit?
The kind of incels who become mass shooters as a product of being incels are not the kind of people who identify as incels.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. I'm not even making that distinction though. I'm just talking about general right-wing media because that's that's my focus. That's my area of critique.
Yeah, I'm not at all trying to criticize the way you're using the term. I just wanted to understand it for the sake of the conversation.
And I also don't want to make it out to be like every incel is going to become a mass shooter because I'm sure it's a very small percentage because a very small percentage of people are going to be mass shooters.
Oh, we'd all be dead if all of them were. Yeah. There's a lot.
I want to make that clear, and I don't want to seem like I am indifferent to people who are actually. They want to fuck, but they can't get the groove on. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, literally the term just means involuntarily celibate. Like I've been trying to get some and I can't. It's kind of what it means. But most people don't think like that. I don't think.
Is it just those people are assholes, and Jordan Peterson is basically telling them to be a bigger asshole and justifying their assholishness? Instead of them actually examining their behavior and, not calling women ugly, not treating them as if they're property.
Yeah. See, the kind of guys who identify as incels will totally do stuff like that for sure. And then there's the kind of guys who don't identify as incels. And the reason they can't get any is because I would argue, because they never had positive male role models. They don't really understand what it is they need to do in order to be valuable to women or be desirable to women. And they just kind of generally suck at life and don't have any tools with which to make themselves more appealing to people. And I think that's horrifying. That's depressing to even think about. And I would say that the
last person those people need to be exposed to is Jordan fucking Peterson.
I would actually literally disagree with that, because I think that's the demographic of people who actually are helped by him. The people what
do
people
you mean by helped?
The kind of person who reads rule number 1 and says, maybe there actually is some value in making my bed every morning. I think the person that speaks to is someone who needs to have someone say it,
But there's a million people that have said that exact phrasing in a million different ways. Jordan Peterson has a lot of, and this is what we're the alt-right pipeline, right? You say hey, cleaning your room is good advice, and that's fair enough, right? Somebody, having discipline and getting up, and one of the things is putting on, if you work from home, putting on clothes and making sure that when you're having a work time, you're distinguished from, your that's good psychologically.
Right.
But he comes with a whole lot of baggage where he's over here on the Daily Wire acting like he's king intellectual and all these people are fucking horrible people, but in reality he's a fragile little man that makes 30-minute videos about how Twitter banned him.
I think that what we're seeing here is a man who is always on the precipice of collapsing under the weight of that particular crown. I don't think we should. Yeah, I think that's how he feels. I think he feels like he's had too much put on his shoulders, and I feel like he doesn't always feel like he's capable of upholding that the version of himself he needs to in order to be who people expect him to be.
Okay, so what you're saying is this clinical fucking psychologist,
which is my field of study, mind you,
has a martyr complex, is what you're saying. Not to diagnose.
You can call it that. Yeah, I wouldn't call it that, but you can call it that. That's fair. Yeah.
But that's not, so his behavior is not healthy. I don't know what the DSM says about what the actual technical term is, but I'm sure the way Jordan Peterson is behaving is not healthy.
It is not, but it is still what you're seeing to that subset of people is a positive role model relative to who they are now.
He's not positive. He turns them into people who come through this alt-right pipeline. Remember, Jordan Peterson works for the Daily Wire. So these are the same people that are then exposed to Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro and stuff. So then they end up coming over here and calling me groomer for no fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people I'm talking about. It's the same. There's the Venn diagram of people who consume Jordan Peterson and also consume Shapiro, Dave Rubin, Steven Crowder, the Candace Owens, blah, blah. It's like a solid circle, and it's a echo chamber that is all playing off of itself.
Maybe, and I think that probably would have been scarier a few years ago when Ben Shapiro was still like coherent and like he said things that made sense. You know,
When did he ever do that? He just talked fast and people.
He had a good run, actually, man. He was spitting fire there for a while. He was really funny.
You're pretty plugged into communities I'm not plugged into, and you saying that his run is coming to an end is really.
It's been over. It's been over.
It's making me feel a lot better. I also want to say that I've been in the comment section of Charlie Kirk, and like it really seems like his people are turning on him too. So like I'm glad to see it, but just more grifters are going to pop up in that same space.
Charlie Kirk's always been a grifter. I think you have when you look at any sort of political, I don't want to say, maybe a diaspora is the right word to use here. I don't know. You look at
political commentators. They all fucking suck.
They do, but they suck in different ways on a spectrum. Actually, it's not even a spectrum. It's more like one of those, what do they call it? Like a word web, where you have all these different gradients all across different axes. And you've got these guys who the only way that you could ever take them seriously is if they're saying the exact same retarded shit that you say or that your grandpa said when you were a kid, or things that like could only actually appeal to someone who has like a vacuum where their brain is supposed to be, right?
Can we come up with a synonym for that?
Retards?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So, yeah.
What would be a good synonym that you could use in place of that?
But then you've got people like Ben Shapiro who used to, and I do mean used to, it's been years, so I know this isn't the way it is now. He used to actually do the whole logic thing that he's so famous for not doing anymore. He actually did. It was a thing. I know it sucks, but there was a time when he's like, oh yeah, if white plus black equals gray, then how come you're still saying it's purple? And people are like, oh shit, he's fucking said what I was thinking, you know, but he doesn't do that anymore.
I think you are romanticizing a past. I've been around for Ben Shapiro since, God, 2010, 2011 would have been about the time he started being ubiquitous in the political circles. I'm sure he was around before then.
Yeah, I would say he was spitting the right kind of fire from like 2018 to 2020 or so. And then
yeah, come the
he was
fuck
good.
on.
He was good. I'm not even saying I agreed with him. I'm just saying he was smart. He was clever.
He has not been clever ever. You're the 2018 to 2020. Doesn't that puts the wet ass P word? Like
that shit's hilarious. You know that's funny. You know you thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I absolutely thought that was hilarious, but that's different than saying that he made logical arguments.
On Spotify, I do not have Cardi B's song in my playlist. I have his version of it on there. I prefer the Ben Shapiro mashup. That shit is fucking fire.
The original Cardi version, it slaps.
His is better. I'm sorry. It's all about the beat anyway. That production is so great. What a masterpiece of a production.
Got some hoes in the house. I fucking love it.
So
I'm into
good.
Cardi.
I'm not. I think she's a degenerate.
I knew you would.
Yeah. But it's fine.
Well,
also,
I'm a degenerate,
you know,
so...
I used to be a degenerate, for sure. I can relate.
Why did you stop being a degenerate?
Because I decided I want to literally generate. I want to start a family. I want to have kids.
Who in the fuck would... Dude, have you took a look outside? You want to bring kids into this fucking world?
Absolutely. I want to have a literal busload of children.
Do you think that this country is going to be anything but like... And it's going to be a lot of different dystopian, like a lot of cities are going to be like Escape New York, but then out in the desert you're going to have some Mad Maxing going on. Like that's what 20, 30 years from now looks like, don't you think?
I would not go so far as to say that's impossible, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
Fucking down in Florida, you're going to have Water World, and people are going to be like on floating islands and shit.
No, come on now. No. And if there's one place that's going to be, I think, potentially sort of insulated from a lot of the Mad Max type stuff, it will be Florida. You know, I think the incentive for creation is there.
Mad Max is happening out west where they're fighting for water rights and shit, right?
I thought it was in Australia.
Like
I haven't seen it though.
Well, I mean, like I'm saying the type of scenario that's going to happen here in the U.S. that we're going to Mad Max out in west where they don't have any water, and one person's going to rule over like be the lord of what little water there is and shit, and they're going to be warring over it. Florida is going to be like a water world, and you're going to be floating around on different islands because what happens when that fucking glacier breaks off?
Yeah.
It's like any fucking day now, man. And this is like, what, 2 or 3 inches sea level rise just automatically? Boom. I might be wrong on that number. But like, it's like that glacier it breaks off. Like, that's the Doomsday Glacier, right? And they're saying like, any fucking day now it could happen.
I think that if we truly believed that was going to happen, we wouldn't be here having this conversation right now.
Why not? Why? What, people are delusional.
Are you calling yourself delusional?
I think I know exactly what's going to happen. That's why I'm not bringing kids into this world.
See, I think that if we want to say that the way the world is bad and needs to get better, then we have to do things that have potential to make that the case rather than just criticizing it for being the way it is.
Oh, I agree. And that's why, you know, I encourage people to organize collectively. That's what my show is all about.
But don't you want more people to organize? You need more people, right? So people need to be having kids. We'll run out of people eventually.
We're not going to run out of people. There's plenty of people.
People aren't making kids, we'll run out of people.
But there's like 8 billion of us right now.
Yeah. But if all this shit's going to hit the fan, you know, we need as many people as we can to like hedge against that, right?
Our problem is going to be a lack of resources.
So we should advocate for people to create and harvest resources.
But there's not... We have finite resources. That's the problem.
But we're not utilizing... We would eventually hit a ceiling, I agree. But we haven't hit the ceiling yet.
Well, I don't know what that ceiling... I don't know what you're talking about. Like, we've reached peak coal. We've reached peak oil. Like, we can't keep doing what we're doing. And then there's... When it comes to climate change, the worry is that... And chat, you're going to have to tell me what the fucking name of this is. So you get like the runaway greenhouse effect. So like in one system just fucking amplifies every other system and just everything starts happening on top. So the atmosphere heats up, which melts the glaciers, which causes the oceans to rise, which causes all the different storms. And then they start, there's a word for them amplifying on top of each other. And
you're talking about that movie 2012.
I have never seen that movie. I'm talking about an actual scientific term.
Okay. But no, yeah, I'm aware of the sort of concepts you're talking about, and all these systems are interconnected. And when a few things fall apart, they cause other things to fall apart. It's like a chain of catastrophes, right?
Yeah.
But there's things that we can do to sort of guard against that, to mitigate some of the problems with others, and you know, behind the scenes, a lot of these things are already underway. And there's some things that are going to be inevitabilities. You know, we are going to have increasing temperatures, for example, and there are going to be consequences of that we have to try to weather rather than prevent.
Well, I mean, one of the things that's going to happen is, like, I was trying to get Sparkles to move with me to Anchorage because, like, Anchorage's going to be where it's at in 20 or 30 years, right? It's going to be a happening fucking city because the glacier melt opens up because Russia has control of that area. Once the glaciers melt, you can actually go through the Antarctic as a trade route to go around to China and shit. And once that opens up, that's a shorter trade route by sea than going around the tip of Africa and shit. So then Anchorage becomes like one of the busiest airports in the world and all of the shit that right. I was like, let's go buy a house there, and then the property value would rise. So that's one of the consequences. Like I think there will be a migration north. There will be more people living in the Dakotas, Montana, and shit like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's definitely value in moving north if you feel like this stuff is going to happen during your lifetime, or if you want to.
I mean, it's already happening.
Well, we have evidence to suggest that it might be, but also there's something that I think we forget, or we don't really pay attention to a lot of times is when they say this is the hottest day since like 1950 or 1960 or something, you have to ask yourself what was happening in 1950.
Let me show you if I've still got this. I might have, because I've a lot of pictures for the shows and stuff. But if I have this chart, it's gonna blow your fucking mind.
Blow my mind. My mind has not been blown recently. It's getting blue mind.
You've got blue mind.
Yeah.
Like blue balls. You're pent up.
I need to pop so bad. You have no idea.
What kind of mental masturbation can you do? How can you get yourself off?
Well, I can't. That's the problem. And I need something very specific that it's like an itch that I can't scratch. It's like in the middle of my back.
Okay.
I'm trusting you with this.
So what you are looking at right now is the average temperature.
Mm-hmm.
Based upon like the anomaly between 1951 and 19. So this is the temperature in 1976. Based upon like the averages from 1951 to 1980, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to show you that same data. This is the amount of change. This is the data, temperature change in the last 50 years versus the 56 to 76 baseline. That chart is fucking scary. From that to that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm saying in like the dark orange places, which is covering like most of the developed world, it's risen an average of 2 degrees Celsius, which is pretty serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Against the baseline average from 56 to 76. So they took the data, so you can't just like take 1 year as an anomaly, right? Because I have a lot of right-wingers like to point out, I don't even remember what date it was. It was like 26 or 36 or something like that. That was like one of the hottest days recorded. We just broke that record, right? It just broke this year. But like they're like, well, why was it that hot back then? Well, that didn't happen but like once in a fucking rarity, right? And now we're hitting those temperatures with regularity.
I still think it's an interesting question. Like, what did happen back then? Like, why did we have that anomalous rise?
Well, that's just the normal swings in weather.
Mm-hmm.
But we have caused it to consistently get warmer now.
So, what's your prescription? What do you think we should do?
Well, I ain't having any fucking kids because I don't think they're gonna enjoy what's gonna happen to the Earth. I doubt that. Okay, so we're at and this is weird. This did turn into a political show. Like, we're the first generation that doesn't have it better than the generation before us.
For sure.
We have a lower life expectancy than the generation before us. So what makes you think we're going to get better from here?
Well, we're not actually the first. The World War II generation, they actually had a lower life expectancy than their parents did.
Okay, fair enough. That would make sense. So are we like the first in a century or something like that?
Yeah,
Almost a century.
A trend of like, I guess 4 generations of things going good and then us going down. And yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that look really bad, and I think there's a lot of like overlapping shit that makes it so that like we aren't just taking a couple on the chin. Like, we're taking a full combo to the head and chest here. Our generation is. And I think there's things about growing up as a Gen Z that is going to be worse than we had as well. But I think that Gen Z has one enormous benefit over us, and that is that they're growing up in a world that they think sucks, and they think that there's potential for things to get better. Whereas we grew up thinking everything was hunky dory and amazing. We've watched everything like peel and flake in front of our eyes, and it's really, really fucking depressing to see the world that we had as kids and the world we have now. It does suck compared to how it was, and it is going to get worse for sure. But I am optimistic about the future because all of the young people I know are very sarcastic, and they're very dry, and they look at this and they say FML all the time, like unironically though. They're like, fuck my life. But anyways, I have to do things, and I'm not just gonna like lay around and bitch and moan like you guys. And I'm like, you know what, you're gonna be okay, kiddo. So yeah, I think the kids are gonna be okay.
Oh yeah, I think the kids are all right. And I always like to try to put things in perspective. Like, many times, many generations have thought the end of the world was coming and thought things were gonna go catastrophic, but we've got a really, really bad impending crisis here.
Maybe, but I just think that the current generation is going to be in a much better position to weather that than we are. And I think that by the time that actually matters, we won't be here anyway.
No, I think it matters. It matters now because this shit is happening now. Miami floods on sunny days. Venice has to shut down like 6 months out of the year now. This is shit that's happened in our lifetime.
I think that's normal, though. I think it's normal for
No.
These places aren't permanent, everything changes. We used to have Pangea. It used to be one gigantic fucking continent, right?
But this is a large change in a very short amount of time, not a gradual change over fucking millions of years.
I don't know, man. I have a hard time. I have a hard time trying to like anchor where my brain is relative to like where everyone else's brains are. So I'm trying to speak in ways that are that we can like relate, I guess. And I feel like if Miami fell, like if it just collapsed and fell off into the ocean, that would suck pretty bad.
But we just
eventually
move on.
We would move on, and people would talk about, 1,000 years from now, they talk about Miami like we talk about Atlantis now, like
Atlantis wasn't real,
was it
though.
real? You don't know that. It's unfalsifiable.
No way. Like that's just a fucking story, isn't it?
Probably, but we can't say for sure, right? You can't disprove the existence of Atlantis. It's just like God or ghosts.
Do you think Zeus
All you can
is
say
real?
is you don't believe. Do I think what's real?
Zeus is a fictional character, right?
We have very little reason to believe that Zeus was a real person, and even if he was, I would not be inclined to believe that he did any of the things anyone ever said he did. It's like Jesus, though. I think the same thing about Jesus. Jesus was probably a real person, but he probably didn't do all the things people say he did.
I think I'm more on the bandwagon that he's an amalgamation of like different messianic figures that the tales all got kind of woven together.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
but like disprove it, so I wouldn't say he's not real,
Okay, so here's one of the things about those kinds of stories. So think about, like, I'm a fantastic storyteller, right?
Sure, yeah.
You've seen my fucking memory.
I've seen your stand-up, yeah.
But my memory issues. Can you imagine me, like, telling these stories and campfires 2,000 fucking years ago and how I would get shit wrong? Like, I've never been to a Bojangles.
Actually, 2,000 years ago, you wouldn't have had the consistent, easy access to marijuana that you do now. So, yeah, I think your memory would have been better back then.
You think it's strictly the marijuana?
Yeah, as someone who's actually studied heavily the way, like, memory works, not remembering things is not like a function of having some sort of degraded systems. Usually, it's a matter of not actually processing things in a way that's conducive to memorizing them as they're happening. AKA, when you're high, you do things and see things and don't really process them the way you need to in order to remember them.
No, it's been a thing since I was a kid that I just don't fucking remember shit. Like, it just, I'm in Justin world. That's the way people describe it. I'm in Justin world. Justin has a very vivid imagination with a lot of shit going on up here and isn't very observant about the world around him.
Well, that's still to my point. Like, it's not that you can't remember. It's not that you can't recall it. It's that you didn't put it there, so it could be recalled later. You were doing other things. You were focusing on other stuff.
Yeah. And that has nothing to do with the marijuana. So don't blame the pot.
That's fair.
Don't blame the pot.
Let me blame the pot.
But I do my job flawlessly. Not flawlessly, but goddamn well, blast it out of my mind. Do I not?
That does seem to be the case. Yes. I couldn't do anything remotely productive when I smoked. I was like, the commercials of, like, the girl sitting on the couch and, like, she turns into a puddle. That was me.
Oh, I mean, we used to drive around and shit. You could operate a vehicle, obviously.
Yeah, that's like breathing though. You just auto drive,
Okay, fair enough. All right. Do you want me to tell you this wild story?
Always, yes.
When I left the college, I went to go back to my hometown in Eastern Kentucky and work at a radio station. And I was aboard up there for a couple of years, and then I got fired for a DUI. Went and did some photography, and then ended up going to a competing radio station, and I was the news director there. Like, that's when I first got into doing news, and this is about 2005. I didn't like that station. He was a hardcore right-winger and shit, and that's one of the reasons he hired me was because I was president of the Young Republicans in high school. But, like, you knew me a year after I was president of the Young Republicans, and I'd already started turning fucking lefty radical. So, I had ended up leaving that station, and then the station that I worked for after I left the college hired me to do their news. And this was like a conglomerate of 9 radio stations, and I did this for a few years. One afternoon, it was a completely quiet afternoon. I remember it was sunny. I want to say it was like a September, maybe early October day. Very nice. There wasn't a lot of news. It was a Tuesday afternoon or something really mundane. And I was able to record my news. And for like one day, then the first time in forever, I was able to get off work at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And me and my buddy went over to our drug dealer's house and bought an 8-ball of Coke. And we came back to my apartment on this beautiful afternoon. I remember it was so perfect. And we're cutting up lines of Coke and everything, and I'm getting just fucking blasted. And I still had it, like, this is 2006 probably. Maybe early 2007. No, it would have been like the fall. It would have been like 2006. So my pager starts going off. I've got a pager. My cell phone, my work cell phone goes off. Then my private cell phone goes off. All of them are the program director at the radio station. He has heard that there has been a wreck and a cop has died, and he wants me on the scene immediately. So So by this time it's 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever it is. And I'm talking to him on the phone. And I remember distinctly, he said, "Are you sure you're okay to drive?" Because he knew I was a little wild, right?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I can handle it. So I get up to the radio station. I take the radio station van. It was about like a 20-minute drive. And I'm thinking the entire time I'm going there to interview these cops, high as fuck on cocaine. Like, they just lost one of their friends. They all know who I am. I've been doing news for, 2, 3, 4 years now. I've gotten to the point where people, like, they scan my car and they're like, "Oh, you're the dude on the radio," kind of thing, right? The cops all knew who I was. They're not looking for me to be high. They're not, like, this is what I'm telling myself as I'm driving there. Like, and it's true. Like, they didn't fucking think anything of it, right? Because they're all tore up because their buddy died. But
Is that the end of the story?
Yeah, I interviewed some cops on cocaine.
Oh.
This is the kind of life I've led.
Well, I mean, that's wholesome, The important thing is that you were where you needed to be when you needed to be there, and you made it happen. I thought you were going to tell me some catastrophe struck or... Well, that's great. Good for you, bud.
Another time I went to the Brickyard 400 and did meth all weekend. I came, that Monday morning, Mitch McConnell was in town giving a speech at like the local lodge. It was like 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning or some shit. And I've been doing meth all weekend, and I fall asleep in like the front row, like right in front of Mitch McConnell. Like, I'm sorry, I put people to sleep with my anticlimactic stories.
They are super anticlimactic. I really think they're going somewhere, and I'm like following along, and I'm like, I'm putting you're introducing characters to me, and I'm imagining them like on the stage, and then it's just the curtains close. I have something to show you. I don't know if you want to share this with your audience and get them really pissed off at me.
What? How are we moving to something like that?
Well, no, you just reminded me of this. I just sent you this on Discord. This is a picture of me as a little kid hanging out with Mitch McConnell.
Whoa. Oh my God.
So my family was really good friends with Ron Lewis, who was he was our representative to Congress. And when I was in 5th grade, his wife, who was really good friends with my dad at the time, invited us to go on the campaign trail with Ron. And actually, we rode on his campaign bus and went around the state for like a week. That's me with the glasses right in front of Mitch McConnell there. This is in like the early 90s.
I mean, I've hung out with Mitch McConnell too, so.
Yep. He rode on the bus with us. We went campaigning together.
You're turtly enough for the Turtle Club, apparently.
Yep. I'm wearing a turtleneck in the picture, ironically. Yes.
Indeed you are.
Yep. I thought you'd like that.
That is a neat story. Why would that piss people off in my chat?
I was just knowing that I'm homies with old Mitch.
I'm homies with old Mitch. Come on.
I thought you were joking though. Okay. Well, this is good. This is wholesome.
No,
Yeah.
I've interviewed Mitch McConnell. So the governor, Ernie Fletcher, do you remember him? I forget.
Yeah, vividly, yeah. Also a friend of the family. Yep.
So hardcore Republican, wouldn't agree with me on anything, but fucking loved me as a news reporter. Like fucking would point me out. There was one time he was doing a dedication of a road somewhere near us, and I was there with the program director. I'm like, "Hey, do you want me to go over and get the governor and get an interview?" He's like, "Yeah, if you can, go do it." And I go over to the governor's people. I'm like, "Hey, can I get an interview?" He's like, No, he's too busy. But like, apparently he pointed me out. I was like, no, I'm going to go over and talk to him. "Hey, Justin, what's going on?" Everything. And they're like, I have no clue why this dude likes me so much. It boggled my mind.
A lot of these guys, despite being like obviously super partisan, it's a lot like sports, I think, where when they're not on the field, with the jersey on, they're just guys,
Okay, and I will say that if any of you have never met a politician, there's usually a good reason why they're a politician. one of the things that they are good at is talking to you, making you feel like you're important. A lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them will remember your fucking name. It's eerie. Like, they'll meet you once and you see them a year or two later and they're like, "Hey, Justin, what's going on?" And it's that charisma that they have is the reason why they're successful politicians.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can't deny that. But people ask me all the time, like when they learn I'm from Kentucky, they're like, what do you think of Mitch McConnell? And I'm like, there's a reason he's been in office as long as he has. And I think, but personally, the reason is because we keep running literal Satan against him. Like everyone they've ran. This is the thing people outside of Kentucky don't know. You think Mitch is bad? Imagine who runs against him.
I don't know. Amy McGrath would have been better than fucking Mitch McConnell.
She was a Trump supporter. Whose idea was it to run Amy McGrath? Who's the target audience for her?
Fair enough, but
Mitch isn't a Trump supporter. They literally ran a Democrat who supports Trump against a Republican who doesn't. What the fuck is this?
I guess that was the Democratic Party's way of trying to win. Just for the numbers.
Political suicide.
Well, I was on Booker's side.
But what a cuck. What an absolute cuck. That guy is identity politics, the movie, the game, the soundtrack, the person. What a cuck lord. Fuck that guy.
What I want to ask you about is the fact that right-wingers, because Mitch McConnell didn't support Trump, like, they have all kind of turned on Mitch McConnell, and said that he's not a Republican, they call him a rhino, say he's not a conservative, and he is, like, hands down one of the most effective politicians quite possibly ever in the history of the country. And they don't give him his props. It's so wild to me.
It's because people are partisans, man. But everything you just said is right. Like the assessment that they have of him is right. And I think people on the other side have kind of like always felt those things about him, right? But I mean, the case is that he's doing him, And frankly,
in terms of getting legislation passed, getting he has absolutely shaped our court systems exactly the way the conservatives wanted. He is the key to the Supreme Court justices being in place, the federal bench being stacked with right-wing Federalist Society types. That's exactly what the right wanted, and they hate Mitch McConnell. They don't recognize how I don't agree with his policy, but in terms of being an effective legislator, he is quite possibly one of the best ever.
Hall of Fame, yeah. And here's something I think you might be missing. You might have a blind spot here. Just as you will notice that there's not a correct overlap between Democrats and leftists, right? There's a lot of leftists who don't feel represented by the Democrats. There's a lot of conservatives, rightists, or whatever you want to call them, right wingers, who can't really identify with the Republican Party as it stands.
Well, I mean, we have the data to support that, like the Trump is kind of a phenomenon that he activated a voter base that didn't usually vote.
Mm-hmm.
And just because that was enough to put him over the top in the primary, just all the establishment Republicans got behind him. So, like, it's kind of a weird anomaly.
Yeah, because they saw in him someone who could advance their agendas, right? It's like he's not the guy we want to be driving the car, but I'm pretty sure he's going to get us to our destination.
But Mitch McConnell was the one that got them to their destination.
Well, he wasn't on the ticket.
But I'm just saying they don't even give him his props.
Yeah, I think he prefers that. I don't think he wants to be in the limelight. I think that would diminish his ability to be as effective as he is if he was more heavily scrutinized.
Or to be as crooked as he is, because him and his wife and their business dealings and her being the transportation secretary, while her father owns a Chinese shipping company. That's all kind of sketchy.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that, but I also think like if there's anybody who's like earned the right to kind of like have a skim over it, it would be someone like him, right? Like if somebody's doing all the things you want them to do and it doesn't seem to be informed by the bribes they're taking, he's only taking bribes from the people he was already going to like work in their interests anyway or whatever. That's just if all politicians operated like that, the world would probably be a better place.
I mean, Mitch represents his constituency because what's the name of that fucking insurance company that's headquartered in Louisville?
Oh, Humana?
Yeah, that's his like top campaign donor, I do believe. So like, or
second biggest employer in the state, I believe.
Yeah,
like,
one of his biggest campaign donor. It might not be the biggest, but like, he works on behalf of a private healthcare company.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And if he's doing that, but that actually ultimately is in the best interest of his constituents. And again, I'm not saying I like this. I'm just trying to look at this pragmatically. He's still, you would rather him be taking from them than somebody who's working against the interest of his constituents.
Well, I mean, the constituents he's working in the interest of are the business class, the elites of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are sitting in the boardrooms in Louisville at Humana.
Surely we would agree, though, that's like a secondary effect, though, right? He's not like necessarily directly just doing this for them. It's just that it helps them. It benefits them also.
Well, it's a self-serving system because of the capitalist incentives and all that good shit. But like, it's just like in terms of representing his constituency as someone who's from Eastern Kentucky, what the fuck did Mitch McConnell ever do for Eastern Kentucky?
Yeah, it feels like you guys don't really have a horse in the Senate there. You got him, and you got my personal favorite. I love Rand Paul. That's probably the only person I've ever been proud to vote for, to be honest with you. Everyone else, a lot of baggage. I like Rand, though. You can't not like Rand. He's a libertarian, for fuck's sake. He's closer to being a leftist than most Democrats are.
No, we're like, Will, come on.
He is. What do you mean?
How is he anything like a leftist?
Well, for one, he's the reason we don't have no-knock warrants anymore.
What, in Kentucky?
Yeah.
He's not the reason. Like
he literally drafted the legislation.
There are he's in the federal government, not the state government. But
sure.
Just because there are some civil liberties things I agree with people on doesn't mean that like I'm gonna overlap with him. Like I watch a lot of fuck with the cop videos on YouTube, right? But I
hate that stuff.
Those people tend to be like sovereign citizens and shit, and I think they're absolute fucking idiots. But I like watching them fuck with the cops, and because a lot of times they are indeed correct. They've got the right to flip a cop off and tell him to go fuck himself. And when the cop comes over and starts giving him shit, they got a right to tell him to go fuck himself some more. And I love shit like that.
See, I watch those things, and I think to myself, this is funny. But we're only seeing the ones where the cop flips out. What about the 20 or 30 other cops who were like, the fuck is wrong with people? What is that guy doing? Oh, well, and they like move on with their life, you know?
I've known a lot of cops. I don't think that's I think the first category, I think law enforcement attracts a certain type of individual that is prone to, want to exercise his authority.
Same goes for content creators, though, right?
Well, yeah.
So I don't think that the guy making those videos I'm not morally justified in doing so if they aren't morally justified in taking issue with it.
I'm not charged with upholding people's civil liberties.
But the content creators unironically think they are. They think that they're out here defending civil liberties by making these videos exposing, what the cops do.
If I wasn't riding dirty all the time, I'd fuck with the cops all the time just because they deserve it. Tell the cops to go fuck themselves.
All of them?
Yes. All of them.
I don't know, man.
All of them. Every single one. ACAB motherfucker.
I think it's unfortunate that because we have these people who have so much potential to do such wrong, that people who want to do wrong gravitate towards the profession. I totally agree with that, but I think that the preponderance of people like that it's not the majority of them, obviously, but what percentage it is, I don't think justifies tearing the whole system down. I don't think that so many of them are bad that we should throw the baby out with the bathwater, for lack of a better term.
I'm hoping because you are from the area, you're going to be very familiar with this story.
Mm-hmm.
The Louisville Metro Police Department Explorer scandal.
I mean, yeah, well aware.
The
yes.
entire department covered up a cop's rape of kids.
Well, frankly, I think one person covered it up.
The whole department had to be complicit with it.
Sure. Yeah.
Just like the whole department had to be complicit with the whole lying to obtain a warrant on Breonna Taylor. This is the same police department. And man, I haven't been able to find this story. I reported it on the Troll Patrol. Maybe you can point me in the right direction. They arrested a guy for murder. And a bunch of citizens went and told the cops, no, he didn't do it. The cops wouldn't let him out. They had to go and find video footage that proved he couldn't have fucking done it. This happened like maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I'm not aware of this particular story.
That is how absolutely incompetent, inept, and fucking and like that's not even the only sex scandal in the Louisville Metro Police Department. There was another cop that was raping people that he was grabbing off the street. He had a prostitute that he would rape.
The problem is they're people, right? They're people who have authority over other people. And people who want authority over other people realize there's a pretty short and easy path to being in a position where they can do that. Again, you're right. There's bad people who become cops so they can do bad stuff.
And that's why we have to keep them on a short leash. We need to stop giving them this hero complex. They're all like, they lied. They're giving them these memorial parades when one of them dies. Like, being a cop isn't even one of the most dangerous jobs in the fucking country. Being a delivery driver is the most dangerous job in the country. We don't give them fucking parades. They're not even in the top 10.
We should just shame them for being delivery drivers.
No, we should shame the cops for being cops. That's what I want to. We've given them these inflated egos that they're heroes and shit.
If there's anybody who is perpetuating the systems that are causing climate change, causing San Francisco to be with the hive of degeneracy and scummery in the world, it's Uber drivers and DoorDash people. You guys got to stop. You're burning the gas. You're putting all the gas in the atmosphere. You're putting the rubber in the fucking road. You're putting money in the pockets of these cocksucking app developers in San Francisco.
I don't disagree with that.
Stop. You got to stop. You're actually the problem, delivery drivers. You fucking pieces of living shit. Stop.
Well, no, the workers aren't the actual problem. It's the system. The workers are cool.
Oh, so it's not the cops. It's the chiefs and the mayors and stuff.
This is the whole system of the cops, yeah.
Oh, come on. We got to be consistent here.
I am consistent. Well, here's the thing that is special with the cops is like they are tasked with doing this. But when one of them commits a crime, there is literally a name called the Blue Code for how they cover up for each other. Yet they are tasked with enforcing the law. That makes things different. Delivery drivers are just out here trying to make a living.
What's your prescription for good cops? What should they do?
Here's the problem with good cops, and the reason why the system has to change is because a good cop can't survive. Because you get Adrian Schoolcraft, who was a cop in the New York Police Department, who tried to expose corruption, and they had him committed. Had him committed. Where you get, I don't remember his name off of the top of my head, in West Virginia, who he had served like tours in the military. There was this guy that was suicidal, and he had a gun to his head. And the first cop that showed up, he was talking him down. Other cops back up arrived on the scene, and they shot him dead immediately. And then they fired the cop for not shooting him. He won a lawsuit because he was in no danger. But they said he violated police whatever protocol by not shooting the guy. In Florida, there was a cop planting meth on well over 100 drivers that we know of, planting meth. When the DA tried to investigate it, he goes to the sheriff, and the sheriff tried to shut the DA down for investigating it. We're not... Do you want me to go on? The Baltimore Police Department had to have a whole drug unit disbanded because they were using their informants to they were cracking down on people and then using informants to sell the drugs back that they had cracked down, and they carried toy guns to plan on people that they shot. One cop used protests against the cops to rob a pharmacy that he was going to traffic the drugs.
So now do teachers who diddle kids.
Oh, it's way smaller. Way smaller. Because, man, I ain't even fucking done. Way smaller.
Disagree.
Do you have data?
I went to a small high school, and I know at least 6 of the teachers were banging people. And there's probably more that we didn't know about.
I mean, I've pointed out there was some weird shit going on with a couple of students and shit. I had a teacher I thought gave me the creeps, but I also don't know that for sure.
There was this teacher in my high school smoking hot. Like,
but I am going to guarantee. No, can I go on? Do you want me to go through more police?
You can go on with the anecdotes literally forever, but I'll always consider them to be anecdotes. And they should blow up as the thing. They should be. We should expose when these things happen. We should literally flay their assholes. We should make examples of these people, right?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, right? Instead of painting cops as these heroes, I want to flay their assholes.
Well, I don't want to do either. I mean, I want to flay the ones we flay, and then, you know, we should make heroes of the ones who go out of their way to expose this stuff in such a way that actually protects them from having terrible things. Like, if you're just going to be a martyr, what's the point, you know? But
that brings me to Chris Dorner, who was an LA police department, sergeant or something like that, had served tours in Iraq, was a decorated war hero, tried to expose corruption in the LAPD.
You didn't do it the right way. These people are fucking idiots, apparently.
What do you mean didn't do it the right way? These cops have a lot of power.
Yeah, but like
do you know the story of Chris Dorner?
If a cop came to you with information and was like, "Hey, help me get my story out," would you not find a way to actually get this shit out there, filter it up, and get the information disseminated in such a way to protect him while also getting his message out?
But there is a thing called the Blue Code, which tells me that the entire system is corrupt, right? So they have a pact to not expose each other. The whole system is corrupt. It needs to be rebuilt. That's why.
But everything works like that. Is the point I'm trying to make? Like every single institution is like that. It's just that because cops are in the positions they are, it's extra impactful when they do bad things, and the things they cover up, it's extra fucked up that they're covered up.
Did you know that it's legal to rape someone you have in custody in like 20-something, 21, 22 states?
Rape?
Yes.
I find that hard to believe.
Because they don't have bodily autonomy when they're in custody.
I find that if you told me it was like legal to molest someone, I would say, yeah, probably, because they do cavity searches and shit.
Yeah. Oh my God is correct. Imagine if every teacher vehemently defended the child abuser. That's what we're talking about. Other teachers will turn on teachers and like, oh my God, something weird's going on here.
See, I just think that there's a massive bias here, because I think a lot of cops do expose things, and we just hear about the stories of when it doesn't happen.
Man, I cover the news. I've been in the news business for like 20 years.
Yeah, but you don't hear stories in the news about teachers doing the other stuff also. You don't hear about teachers exposing each other and stuff. You just hear about teachers getting caught fucking kids.
So I got called bullshit, so I have to. And we're going to the USA Today. Sex between police officers and their detainees isn't illegal in many states. In 35 states, police can legally have sex with their and rape detainees if they claim it was consensual.
That's a loophole that should be closed, huh?
Apparently, there is federal law. So
Outrating partly false.
The 35 states is partly false. Right? It's illegal in many states. While it is true that 35 states did not have laws explicitly criminalizing sex between officers and detainees in 2018, many states have since. Okay, so maybe I'm out of date here. Since 2018, many states have since criminalized it.
Yeah, it sounds like there wasn't a law like explicitly forbidding these things, but there's probably other laws that would come into play. Like it's actually still illegal to rape people.
It's illegal to rape people, but a cop can claim it was consensual, and what's anybody going to do about it?
Like, did you know that there's actually 3 states in which incest is still not explicitly illegalized?
I know it is. Wait. Incest isn't legalized.
People always talk about Alabamians fucking each other's, their family and stuff. And I'm like, I stand the South, okay? Alabama is based, and it's actually illegal to bang your sister there. But it's not illegal in Rhode Island. It's not illegal in New Jersey, and it's not illegal in Ohio. None of these places are in the South.
Well, my claim wasn't bullshit, because the way cops got around it was to claim it was consensual. Because what's a detainee going to do? And that the
that's
issue
always the case.
I brought up with the LA or the LMPD earlier, that's what he was doing to a prostitute that he had detained.
But it's always legal to
he's
rape
like, suck my
somebody
dick,
if they consent to it,
but
right?
he's like, suck my dick or I'm going to take you to jail. Oh, it was consensual. How's anybody going to prove that?
But that's not just exclusive to cops. That goes for every sexual dynamic. It's never rape if they consent, right?
What?
And you can always just say they consented whether they did or didn't. It's
now
just that when somebody's in a position,
I'm upset that the chat is telling me I'm wrong. I'm not. Because hair splitting is
you're not
what it
factually
is.
Wrong is the thing. It's just in context, it's like irrelevant that fact isn't wrong. Right?
I have no clue. I don't know.
Think about this, and this actually serves my point when I was saying that the problem is the cops are in a position to uniquely take advantage of things, right? So if we just replace there, if we just say that people can get away with raping other people as long as they say they consented to it, then that's kind of how it has always been. The burden of proof is on the accuser, right?
But there's once again, I'm giving you the example of the prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
Suck my dick or I'm going to take you to jail is the threat.
Right. The cops are in a position where they have a unique ability to be coercive and use force.
Yeah.
But it's still the fact of the matter that anybody could what they're doing is super illegal, and they have ways to get around getting caught doing stuff because of the position they're in. They're wearing the badge that says, I can walk up to you and tell you to turn around, and I'm placing you under arrest, and I'm taking you into custody. And now you are completely at my fucking disposal. I can do whatever the fuck I want to with you. But you could also, you could do the same thing to somebody without the badge. It would just require more violence, more subversive behavior, and more, I would argue, explicitly, you'd be committing more crimes in the act of doing that, basically.
But that's not a matter of public policy. So that's not what we're debating.
That isn't a
here.
matter of public policy either, though. That's just a legal oversight, right? That there's not an explicitly outlined thing.
If it's an oversight legally, then we have to have a policy to fix it. It's
a lack of policy. Yeah.
But that's why we're talking about that and not the other situation. Because it is a matter of public policy. That's why when like right wingers bring up like, oh, the protest in relation to cops, like, well, we're talking about a matter of public policy with the cops. Protesters committing crimes, that's a whole other thing. Protesters are committing crimes. Has nothing to do with it.
Let's do an experiment. Let's riff for a second here. Because I like to be prescriptivist, but I'm also like really hesitant to ever make prescriptions. So I think that what we should do in order to resolve these issues with cops is make it so that when they get caught doing things, the penalties they incur for abusing their power is dramatically greater.
I've had a piece of legislation I've proposed many times. I call it the Higher Standard Act, where they face double the mandatory minimum automatically.
Fuck it.
But the problem is you have a lot of prosecutorial and judicial bias towards them because they work in the buildings. So they're the co-workers of the judges and the DAs that are going to bring charges against them. So there's an issue there.
So we need to start looking at the track record of these people. We need to get people more involved in local politics and pay more attention to the people that they're voting for or not voting for. Look at the track records of these people and put the data together and see, do they have a history of letting cops off the hook for shit? And if they do, we got to vote these people out. These people are enablers. These people are every bit as much of a problem of the rot in the system, of the swamp, that needs to be drained, right?
Well, yeah, that's why I'm trying to point it out, and you being like, oh, but there's some good cops, like that. No, there aren't.
They're absolutely. I have a family member who was a sheriff.
That's what
for like
everyone
30 years.
always says, and you said you don't like anecdotes.
It's not that I don't like anecdotes. Is that they don't change my mind. Is the thing.
But I showed you where the system, like, it cleanses itself of good cops.
Yeah, but it's not just the cops that are the problem there, right? It's us. If we want, okay, let me ask you this: if you want to go all the way and say
that's why it's the system. We have to take it down.
but the system isn't just the cops. The system is us.
I want to do what they did in, like, was it Cambridge, New Jersey, where they abolished the police, and then they rebuilt it from scratch and made everybody reapply for their job, had completely new standards and shit. That's what I'm talking about. And that we have a lot different ideas about how we want police to behave going forward. Because, like, okay, with Noah the other night, like, I agreed with the premise of abolishing the FBI. But then as I was talking about it last night on the Troll Patrol, the FBI investigates crooked cops. And I like that part of the FBI. The FBI also investigates civil rights abuses and shit. I like that part of the FBI. So there's certain things, and you can't say, like, I'm just being biased towards stuff I like civil rights abuses. I think everybody can agree when someone violates your constitutional rights, you want a agency to investigate that, right? Like, that's not me being a lib turd on that.
Yeah, well, the FBI is arguably, I would actually probably argue, our most based of institutions. I am a avid lover of the deep state.
I love you, man.
I love the deep state, man. If it wasn't for the deep state, look at some of the shit that people would have been getting away with. You know what I mean? Like the checks and balances we have established in our nation, in our Constitution, are fantastic, but they're not enough. We need a backstop, and that's what the deep state is.
Well, I think we need more democracy. I think we need to expand rights. Like, that's why I agree with libertarians on a lot of things. Like, to me, the government is just there to positively enforce my rights. I don't like the punitive side of it. The carceral state doesn't work, I don't think.
Yeah, libertarianism is a beautiful ideal, but it's kind of brain dead when you like get down to the root of it. I mean, if we had ultimate freedom, like we also have ultimate power vacuum, and China would adore that, or Russia, or anybody would, Mexico even, anybody could just come in and take over if we don't have the, the infrastructure we have and institutions we have. It would defeat the whole purpose of everything we've ever accomplished as a nation if we were to just, go back to if everybody wants to live off the grid or whatever. It's kind of silly.
But the FBI also does some really shady shit, right? They target like leftist groups and Muslims and just protesters.
And rightist groups.
They
all,
do.
All sorts of extremists, yeah. I think extremists are fucking ridiculous.
But the rightist groups are usually the ones committing violence.
Maybe the leftists are just bad about getting caught before they get to start doing stuff. I don't know.
Or maybe the FBI is trying to paint them. I mean, we have the document showing that this has been going on for years. They tried to bully Martin Luther King Jr. into killing himself.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. They've done a lot of fucked up stuff. I'm not suggesting they haven't. It's just
I want to take out the fucked up stuff and leave the investigating trafficking across state lines and shit. Good thing FBI does. Planting themselves in protest groups that are anti-war. Bad FBI. Bad FBI.
Yeah. The anti-war protests are cringe, and fucking with them is even more cringe. I agree.
Well, I mean, like, that's within their, like, you may think an anti-war protest is cringe, but that's within their rights that is granted to them in the Constitution.
100%. Yeah, that's their right. As long as they're not like in the street in Florida and then they're going to get ran over.
Whereas, like, the type of scenario that I think you're bringing up with right-wing groups is that dude that was caught up with the neo-Nazi group in like Montana or Idaho or something. What was his name?
Yeah. I don't remember, but that shit's hilarious, man.
Hilarious. No, I think that poor bastard got the raw end of the deal. Didn't deserve to his entire family fucking died in that shit. Like, he wasn't a neo-Nazi. However, he was indeed involved with a neo-Nazi. Like, involved is a weird word because he was living out in a rural area and the only thing close to him is this fucking Nazi encampment. And he's just a dumb guy living off the grid and everything. And when they needed social interactions, they would go down and hang out with the neo-Nazi group. And there just so happened to be FBI agents embedded in that neo-Nazi group for good reason. But what happened there that the FBI fucked up was like they got this dude to like saw off some shotguns or something and then tried to arrest him because they wanted his testimony to try to get the neo-Nazi group. Can somebody can somebody tell me the name of that dude? Like it's a famous fucking story.
At the end of the day, like what's a rose by another name would smell, or a rose by another name would smell just as sweet, or whatever the old saying is. Like, you don't have to like know you're a neo-Nazi to be engaging in behavior that is concordant with neo-Nazi ideals, right? And the people that you're involving yourself with don't have to like shave their heads and get the regalia and everything in order for them to be someone who should have been a red flag.
Well, they entrapped that poor guy who wasn't a harm to anybody. He wasn't down there plotting with the neo-Nazis. They just wanted somebody to flip, and he was an easy mark, right?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of shit that I don't like the FBI do. That's a good example of them doing something on the right side that I think is fucked up. But also, like, I see their reasoning, right? They're like, oh, we'll just get this guy's kind of dumb. We'll get him to flip. We'll get the testimony. He'll get off. We'll give him immunity or something. And he'll get off. We'll get the testimony against the Nazis. That's probably what they're saying to themselves. And they end up fucking killing the entire family. It's fucked up.
Yeah, I might actually have been thinking of someone other than who you were referring to there. I was thinking of someone who was involved with, like, the Proud Boys or Patriot Prayer or something like that.
This would have been before that. This would have been like in the 90s.
Okay, yeah, I'm totally on the wrong. Yeah, I got the wrong guy. I wasn't thinking of somebody they killed. I was thinking of somebody they kind of like tricked into fucking himself over and like losing his business and stuff. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, you know, I'm very like, I'm not just nonpartisan. I'm kind of like anti-partisan.
Ruby Ridge. I was describing Ruby Ridge, and that was Randy Weaver.
Yeah, I've never heard that. I've heard of Ruby Ridge. I haven't heard the guy's name. I'm just very unaware of that whole situation.
Now that was the pot. But now, but that's the kind of when the FBI fucks with the right, that's what they're doing. When they fuck with the left, they're going into like anti-war protest groups and shit, and that kind of shit is completely wrong. That's fucking with free speech.
Yeah, I can't think of an example of a particular time when they were fucking with anti-war protests, or like what their stated justification for doing so was, but I've heard so much about that happening like during Vietnam.
You know,
I'm not sure if that's happened more recently.
I just happened to have my notes from the Knower debate. I think.
You have a VOD for that? Is that on YouTube? I'd like to watch that.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's grating. It's like 3.5 hours. So at the beginning, I was pretty well, like I set the tone and I was dictating the pace. And we were talking about the double standard in the FBI. This leads perfectly into this. Let me, because I've got all my notes right here from the debate. So this was what I was prepared for, talking about double standard in the FBI. The FBI has, let me flip it for people. The FBI has a long history of treating political dissent as terrorism. While terrorism in the U.S. is relatively rare, over the last decade, most politically motivated violence has come at the hands of far-right extremists. Despite that reality, the FBI has devoted disproportionate resources to the surveillance of non-violent civil society groups and protest movements, particularly on the left, using its mandate to protect national security to target scores of individuals posing no threat but opposing government policies and practices. Since 2010, the FBI has surveilled black activists and Muslim Americans, Palestinian solidarity and peace activists, abolish ICE protesters, Occupy Wall Street, environmentalists, Cuban and Iran normalization proponents, and protesters at the Republican National Convention. And that's just the surveillance that we know of. So, Defending Rights and Dissent had a report that they documented. If anybody wants to read this, I'll link it in the chat. Hey, Will would be an excellent debate moderator. You've been doing debates yourself, but you would be a good moderator.
Oh, why do you say that?
Because you're calm and you could like keep everybody on track and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have moderated debates in the past. I appreciate you saying that. But yeah, I'm very much... I have more questions about literally all of this stuff. I have a hard time believing anything. It really isn't like because of a partisan bent or ideological predisposition, I don't think, unless you consider like just skepticism, I guess, is well,
I think skepticism is good, but like that's from The Intercept, and they do really good journalism. That's a reputable source, so I tend to err on the side of like that's probably good information.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure everything there, it's not just like a kernel of truth, but it's probably describing reality. But then I also have to consider like what was the impetus behind doing this research in the first place? Who are the people that did the research? What to what end have they released this? Like virtually nobody does virtually anything without some sort of bias. And I wonder, you know, when you go into anything looking for an answer, you tend to have an idea of what that answer is going to be, and you especially try to find that, and you tend to overlook other things.
Well, I mean, these are journalists doing journalism. You know, like,
right.
And the motivation is to break a story, and you have an incentive in cases like The Intercept, which does good journalism, to not do shoddy shit that will get you fired.
Oh, I don't doubt the credibility of these people, like as it exists or that it was earned. But I guess what I'm saying is,
and journalists are in fact human, but like The Intercept, it will do a detailed retraction. It will tell you why it was wrong. It's like it's a very reputable publication.
I'm not saying I doubt any of it's wrong. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is somebody was looking for something and they found it, and they presented evidence of it.
Well, yeah, because they are on the side of civil liberties.
I might disagree with someone's definition of civil liberties.
Making sure that the FBI isn't violating your right to free speech. That's a violation of civil liberties, right?
It usually would be, maybe not always. And I also don't know if we would agree that a certain thing that the FBI has done would be a violation of our free speech rights. Like if somebody's doing something that's actually a call to violence, for example, and the FBI is trying to quash that, then we might disagree that that's actually, a violation of someone's free speech rights. If somebody's doing something that's like ambiguous, where it may or may not be perceived as a call to violence, then I think it would be much easier for us to say the FBI is overstepping. Or if we would see the supposed call to violence and come to an agreement that shouldn't really be perceived that way, then we would definitely agree that the FBI has went too far on that. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Like Vosh. I know you don't like talking about Vosh, but
I don't know anything about him. I don't watch him.
So I'll make this super quick and succinct. But there was a big hubbub not that long ago about Vosh advocating for trans people to arm themselves and be prepared for a civil war. And what I just said is not hyperbole. He literally said this multiple times over and over. When confronted about it, he doubled down, tripled down on this.
Well, that's a pretty leftist take.
It is, but it's not common when somebody has hundreds of thousands of subscribers and is like an avowed anarchist, talks about this sort of stuff, right? And he's got a lot of members of his community who are like, in psychology, and they say, look, we're not trying to be transphobic about this, but if there's a group of people who
suicide rate.
There's a group of people who shouldn't have guns, et cetera. So there. A lot of people unironically took what he was saying as saying people should go Roblox themselves, basically, right?
No.
Yeah.
I think you misinterpreted that, because if you are a group that is because I use veterans for this, I care about veterans. One of the reasons why I want stricter gun control. And it's if you have a group that is more prone to suicide, they're more prone to succeeding if they have access to a gun.
Right, and that's one of the big criticisms there, which is what I'm acknowledging.
So it doesn't seem like they're criticizing Vosh for telling people to go off themselves. They're criticizing Vosh for saying oh no, we don't want somebody that might have suicide ideation to be near weapons, and that is a very valid concern.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then but Vosh's take is a very leftist, anarchist, socialist take. For people to arm themselves. Marx said any means to disarm the proletariat need to be exhausted by any means necessary, or whatever. I butchered it. But
right, and that's a based Second Amendment take if I've ever heard one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's great, and he's a big advocate for the Second Amendment. But there's this if we want to look at this from a consequentialist perspective, you could say that the consequence of what he's saying is, if everybody took what he's saying prescriptively and applied it, the consequence absolutely could be that more trans people have access to weapons when they're engaging in ideation. Therefore, more people Roblox because of it, right?
And my brain, as a content creator who wants to put good out in the world and help educate people, thinks that if I had been in Vosh's shoes and received that criticism, my God, that is a fantastic time for me to bring up that issue and really dive down into it and present some evidence.
Yeah, and that's fair. And
bring
I think there's probably a lot
to
of people. Yeah.
And I don't think that Vosh was necessarily wrong, especially if he acknowledges, oh shit, I see Because like, man, that is like, I try my best. I can never look stupid on stream if I will admit that I was wrong, right? Because I'm gonna be wrong. Sitting here and yakking 2-3 hours a day or more, I'm gonna be wrong eventually. No matter how I try to parse words to where I use apparently a lot because it's not definitive. So I parse words to make sure that I'm not making declarative statements a lot of times. But and being open to being corrected is a very valuable thing, and that would actually make good content too, because I think that's a very interesting subject to touch on. But somebody shouldn't try to like cancel Vosh over that, as long as he acknowledges the other side.
Well, yeah, so people did try to, but he handled it honestly the way I would have, which is like, if you want to criticize me, my Discord chat is open. Hop in here and like talk to me one at a time and debate me on it. Like, what's your take? I want you to explain it to me. And he like fucking, swatted most of it away and argued with the rest of it. And I think he handled it super well.
How long ago did this happen?
This was the thing that happened over the course of a few weeks. I want to say that this was probably in May or June.
Okay,
I could be wrong on that.
It's kind of cooled down a little. Well, I've been clout chasing. I don't know if you've noticed.
I did not notice, no. But he yeah, you would definitely you would like Vosh a lot. But anyway,
Vosh has been nothing but cool to me, right? So he shouted me out a couple different times.
Yeah, and I don't do live stream. I do my live stream, and I pop in yours every now and then in chat, but I don't go to anybody else's live streams. I just listen to VODs and shit, like while I'm working. So like I've been listening to his VODs. I was literally on the way to UPS store one day to like drop some packages off, and I'm listening to a Vosh thing on YouTube with my earbuds in, and he says something about like the Matt Walsh show, blah blah blah, blah, and this JustinFREAKIN guy, and I was like, the fuck? And I literally pulled over because I had it playing on my phone like in audio only mode, but I like pull my phone up and I open it up and like rewind and look at the video, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Justin, dude, what the fuck? It was so cool. It made me happy. And then there was like the next day or a couple days later, he's talking about it again because you're in the chat, and he's like, JustinFREAKIN, oh, you're the guy with the hair. So yeah, that was fucking sick. It was real sick. I was really happy for you.
But I would like to go raise that issue with him. Like that's something, because apparently he basically says unless you've got something super fucking interesting, if you are on this side of the spectrum, don't contact me. God damn it! Like
he doesn't want to talk to people who agree with him. Is his main thing. Don't come on there to have a hug box. He wants you to come on there and debate him.
It wouldn't be so much of a debate as I would be bringing up that topic, but I think it's an interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah, I could try, if you want to, I can try to find you links to the VODs, just so you can see that he's had that particular, definitely not as you brand it and as you would do it, but he's discussed the topic pretty in depth.
Check it out.
With mental health professionals as well as like with trans people and stuff. So the thing that I was really trying to drill down to though, is that there would be people who view what he said as like an act of stochastic terrorism, to say, like, as I perceive it, there is a war on this group of people. And if you're a member of this group of people, and if you care about this group of people, you need to get ready for war. You need to go out there and arm yourself. And then he later on went to describe scenarios in which people might need to be prepared for this sort of stuff. And he quite explicitly said, he was talking about the group of Proud Boys driving down the street with guns sitting in the back of a truck. He said, when people do that next time, I want you to be able to take pot shots at them. And it's like, that to me, as someone who likes Vosh a lot, even though I disagree with a lot of the things he says, I still find him hilarious. When he said that, I literally take that as a call to violence. I think that's a call to violence. When you're saying, I want people to be able to take pot shots at people when they drive down the street in a show of force, I think you're actually the one who's stepping over the line there, right? So do I think the FBI should have went after Vosh for that? Or do I think any sort of legal authority should have went after him for that? No. but would I have defended him if they did? No. And would he have shown up on a report like the one you're showing? Yeah, that's the kind of shit people get fucking, bagged and tagged over, right?
And
I don't think I would not advocate for it, but I wouldn't defend him either.
Now, also, I don't know exactly the context that he said that in. I take your word for it, that he said it that way. But like,
it's worse than I made it sound, to be honest with you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I could see a knock on the door and a talking to be warranted. I could absolutely see that. I don't know if I could see what this report details with them embedding themselves inside of like Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah, that's something Tim Pool reported on, actually. You probably hate him, and I'm not a fan. I think he's like neon grifter, kind of.
I have totally tried to clout chase on Tim Pool. I haven't here lately, but I had been.
But Tim Pool was that's where he got his bread and butter. Like, that's how he got famous, was his reporting on Occupy Wall Street. And he was definitely rubbing shoulders with the kind of people that we're talking about here. And he was also getting like pepper sprayed by them as well. So, I've heard so much over the years. I tried to get a job with Tim Pool a few years ago, actually. Made it to a second round of interviews, but he has hobnobbed with those sort of people, and he's also had them fuck him over, right? So it's obvious that sort of stuff is happening, and I'm glad that they're out there putting the feelers out, trying to find stuff. And when they find stuff, it's I think the worst thing is when we find out it happened. I don't think we should ever hear about it. I think the deep state needs to stay deep is my takeaway from all that.
Oh no. See, like, I'm one of those people, like, I want total fucking democracy. I want to be able to look at it. I was born so fucking poor, man. The only power that I've had is, my vote. And the power to organize collectively, because I've been I'm from like one of the poorest regions in the world.
West Virginia.
Like right next to West Virginia. I'm from the coal fields of eastern Kentucky. I could piss in Virginia or I could piss in West Virginia. That's how close we were. Like right in the tippy tip. That's where Pikeville is. And I need to sue Seth Rollins. But I don't even remember the point I was making now. But like, that's power or something. Something about power dynamics. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I think that there has to be. I think we have to have a collectivist. We have to protect people collectively, I think, while maintaining our individuality. And go ahead.
Clearly, I'm an individual, and I'm for that. Like that's where I agree with libertarians in a lot of things. I don't see a lot of people that have this this libertarian bent when it comes to enforcement, and a leftist bent when it comes to economics a lot. Like, I think the government should be there to fucking smack its dick on business's face, right? That's what the government should be used for. I don't like these motherfuckers, these CEOs over here. So I'm gonna use the government and use the government's dick, just smack the shit out of their face.
I just don't know. I try to think of the consequence of that happening. I just don't know where America's at in 20 years if we start doing that.
Well, here is my proposal to Rob Noer, and this is when he goes ballistic. So now the debate happens in three parts. That's what I was explaining earlier. That's where I was talking about the FBI has the history of political dissent, blah blah blah. I made a really good argument about, yeah, a double standard probably exists with the FBI, but it's not the double standard you're talking about. The FBI has gone more after leftist groups when it's been more justified to go after right-wing groups, and you're just upset that they're wanting to investigate Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I make the claim about investigating Donald Trump, that's when it gets on Russiagate, right? Mm-hmm. And like, I specifically at the start of that, like, dude, I'm not familiar with the minutia of this. I can't sit here and look up things live as we do this. I wasn't prepared for this topic. And that's when he drilled down and yelled at me for 2 hours about Russia. And I'm like, I shouldn't have let him do that. I shouldn't have let him dominate the conversation. And I tried to dispute some claims, but I didn't really know what the fuck I'm talking about. But his central thesis was basically that the FBI didn't verify the Steele dossier, or attempt to verify the Steele dossier. So therefore, the whole investigation, it was all flimsy. And like I found the next day a story like the FBI attempted. It was in the Inspector General's report in 2019. The FBI absolutely tried to verify claims in the Steele dossier. Yeah. Why don't I know about the Russian subsource? This is the shit that they talk about on like right-wing talk radio. I don't know anything about it. So Rob has been listening to YouTube commentators and shit talk about this shit for years apparently. And he just and wouldn't let me talk. So then the third part, we get back to, I'm trying to make the argument that he's saying like, both sides are corrupt. The FBI is working on behalf of this cabal. And then I'm like, it's a capitalist incentive that makes, you think the media and academia is out to get you. No, it's capitalism. So then I explain the kind of society that I would like to live in, which is some sectors are private owned. They're capitalist. Restaurants would be a good example. Some things that are necessary, medical, energy, those things should be nationalized, and we should do them as a collective together. But then things like factories would be done better as worker cooperatives because they produce better workers. You don't ship your jobs overseas, and it helps build a strong America. And this broke his brain, man, and he gets hysterical.
Yeah, but it's because he wants to be able to take a stencil or a cookie cutter and apply it to everything, right? When you say right wingers are morons, that's kind of what I hear when you're saying that. Is there's a group of people who want to they want everything to be like a color by numbers book, and they're convinced that it is, right? And they take a very simple heuristic and apply it to absolutely everything. And underlying all of that is generally a sort of a level of faith they have in certain things, apropos of any rational reason to have faith in them. That once you touch on it, it's like touching an exposed nerve in somebody's broken tooth or something, and they become apoplectic.
So the thing that I wish that I had done was that I had asked him at the very beginning. I said I got these 3 points I wanted to discuss, and the final one was his proposal for reforming the FBI, what he wanted to do. And that's really where I wanted to drill down, and we never even got to it. Mm-hmm. I think his entire was abolish it. But no, I want to expose that you're not actually a serious person. You can't talk. You don't have a plan for who prosecutes interstate child sex trafficking. Remember, that's one of the things that we talked about that the FBI does that's good. You don't have a plan for what that institution looks like that we replace it with. And you're not even open to this. You're just abolish it. So you're not a serious person.
Well, if you wanted to be consistent, he could have just said that we want to expand ICE. It also allowed them to take on interstate issues, and not just international issues. Oh, or ATFC, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and children. There you go.
Well, they hate the ATF even more than they hate the FBI. I can tell you that for a fact.
Oh, do they really? I haven't heard this one.
The libertarian types, for sure. And that's
I thought he was a conservative.
He was I'm a real conservative, but he's more the libertarian bent, I think. More like a Spike Cohen type.
That's really cringe. Libertarianism belongs on the left. I think if you want to be a conservative
true.
and a libertarian, true libertarianism, I mean, like, you know what? The way this works, I'm thinking of this on the political compass, and you're thinking of this in a much more sort of holistic way.
Oh, no. I'm going to pull up my political compass for you right now.
Yeah.
I'll show you what I'm talking about. I have it.
So we've got like libertarian and authoritarian on the spectrum, right? And
Okay, I don't have mine, but I have like the 2020 presidential candidates.
mm-hmm.
I'm zoomed all the way in. I'm sorry. But it says libertarian down here at the bottom for those of you who can't see. So this is left, right, authoritarian. So I reside all the way down here in this left corner because I feel like the government's job is to provide health care, build roads, blah, 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 that sort of thing. Provide for the common good. But I think they should leave you alone pretty much otherwise. If you ain't fucking bothering nobody, the government leaves you alone. And that puts me down here on the libertarian, the far libertarian side, and the far leftist side.
Yeah, when I take the political compass from a like idealist perspective, like when I make everything the way that I wish things were, I end up a fair bit down to the bottom left. And then when I take it again, being like pragmatic, like thinking about like from a more consequentialist perspective, I find myself being farther right. But I still wind up being like right on the line, you know.
I don't, because like this is your preference of political agenda. I don't understand the taking it with a pragmatic view, because this is what you ultimately want a society to look like, right?
I don't think what I want is possible though. I also want to like bang the hottest supermodels ever, every single day. I want the newest, hottest ones freshly delivered to my house every morning. I want them to be sitting on my face when I wake up in the morning. But that's not going to happen, so that's not the world I'm working towards.
Well, I mean, I'm the dude that came up with the idea for pussy candles because he liked the smell of pussy in his beard. But anyway.
Have you sued her yet?
Not enough people have donated to the fund to sue Gwyneth Paltrow. I do not have the legal funds to sue her. But if I can raise the dough, I absolutely will sue her. Because I mean, I made a good case, right? But that's neither here nor there. I don't even remember but when it comes to politics, even though what you want isn't possible, you should be aspirational, because you know about the Overton window, and with us being so far to the right with our politics right now, we have to be this inspirational or this aspirational down here in order to drag the shit where we actually want it, which is right here in the middle.
Yeah, so like when I say consequential though, like I actually consider the consequences of us actually of the friction generated when moving in that direction, and I think it actually causes things to happen that prevent us from achieving what it is we would like to happen.
Well, we're in the midst of a paradigm shift. We're like, this is the baby boomer generation is going to have to die off and give up power, right? So that's where we're at. We're on the precipice of this right now. Because, and here's the thing is, like, Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi aren't even baby boomers. They're the generation before. But
they're ancient.
I know. And we've got to get them out of the way. And then we really can be aspirational down here. It's the you know the whole saying where you get more conservative as you get older?
Yeah. I don't think that applies to everybody though. Certainly not me.
It is true for the generation that said it. Because when you have stability, you're talking about, the 60s through the 70s and the 80s, everything is looking rosy and shit, and people can afford a house. People, there are good paying manufacturing jobs. We don't have these existential crises. It's easy to be conservative and say, yes, I want to preserve this. And we have now gotten into a point where baby boomers, because media has become so fractured and there is a market for literally every viewpoint. You can turn on the YouTube and get your news catered to you from your view that you want. So baby boomers have gotten into this echo chamber where it's still like, I used to explain to my mom, like, she was like, I want to go back to the time, and she would always describe, like, Leave It to Beaver, you're describing Mayberry. That didn't actually happen. When those TV shows were on, when you were a kid and you thought everything was so peaceful, there were race riots in the streets. Like, the crime was way higher back then than what it is now. And you say you felt safer when you were a kid. This is a romanticized version of the past. And they've been able to buy this alternate reality through media that is willing to sell them for clicks, for views, the reality that they want. And that is what we are currently up against right now, that they have the reins of power. They think we're fucking radical for wanting to implement the changes that are needed to the society. But they conserved what they had. The baby boomer generation had everything handed to them. So they wanted to conserve that.
They did. It seems to me like, if I wanted to be super reductivist, I would say that what the baby boomers really did was take what the last couple generations before them, like, fought and died for, and said, you know what, we appreciate this. We want to take this golden age you've created and stretch it as far as we can into the future. But I think that what they ultimately did is in their hubris, decide that entailed not just the generational wealth, and not just the unparalleled sort of what's the word I'm looking for here, excess, but we want to take this, and we want to assume that we know how to make more of it, not just preserve what we have, not just conserve it, but use this in ways that are productive. And I just don't think they did. I think they ultimately did wind up just kind of hoarding it unto themselves. They put a lot of things in rainy day funds without considering that would create rainy days.
Not only hoarding it for themselves, but dismantling the systems that they benefited from and privatizing them, selling them back, like education. Selling it back to us to enrich themselves. And that compounds the problem even more.
I won't go as far as to say they did it to enrich themselves, but that is the consequence of it for sure.
Absolutely.
And we look at people will also point at like Gen Xers and say, Gen X is kind of silently sliding under the radar here when they've been complicit in all these same things. And, a lot of people have been, but also if we look at the big luminaries of Gen X, the ones who are like some of the richest and most famous people in the world are Gen Xers. Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey, not as rich, but certainly as influential. Mark Zuckerberg, these kind of guys, they've had as big an impact on the way we've lived our lives as anyone else has. But
I think Zuckerberg's a millennial, isn't he? Because he went to college in like 2004, 2005. That's when he was creating Facebook. That'd make him a millennial.
You might be right.
He's younger than us.
I was thinking he's a couple years older than us. I thought he was in his early 40s, like on the cusp there. But you might be right. Yeah, maybe he is a millennial. I guess my point would still stand, though, that there are innovators who are fabulously wealthy because of their innovation, even if I don't agree with their innovation. Like I don't think Mark Zuckerberg is a great person, and I don't think that what he's contributed to the world lines up with what he's got back from the world.
Absolutely.
I look at somebody like Jeff Bezos, actually, and I have a hard time disagreeing, though. I look at Jeff Bezos, and do you remember being a kid and seeing something on TV you wanted, and it's like you got to call this fucking number and spend all this money and then pay extra for shipping and handling, and then wait 6 to 8 weeks for the motherfucking thing to show up, and you can't track your shipping. It should just disappear. Jeff Bezos actually meaningfully changed the way we live our lives in such a positive way that I look at his money and I'm like, I'm not mad.
But here's the reason why that view is wrong,
Okay, let's hear it.
Is the way Bezos has come about being able to construct that system is having worker abuses where he's making people, piss in bottles and shit. Yeah, you have to have heard about the timers they put on them to be able to go and stock the boxes and stuff.
I've had to do stuff like that at other jobs when I was younger.
Nothing
to do with Bezos.
Not to mention our stupid ass government giving them incentives to come into a certain area. We'll pretty much let you not pay taxes for 10 years and we'll even give you these subsidies, blah, blah, blah. And they're trying to outbid each other. And they do it for football stadiums and shit too. I can't stand that. That is not a net plus to society. So I would argue that, and I said, I think you can ethically become a millionaire. I don't think you can ethically become a billionaire. There has to be a hell of a lot of exploitation going on to amass that kind of a fortune.
The systems you're describing and the sort of shifty stuff that Amazon has done, it's not unique to Amazon at all. Tons of companies do that sort of stuff. And I don't say this to excuse Amazon. Yeah, well, the system that allows these things to happen is the problem as far as I'm concerned. People taking advantage of those systems in order to provide the best possible services to the end users are, especially something like Amazon. More people are getting good out of Amazon than people are getting bad out of Amazon. That doesn't mean that I'm not saying if we drilled all the way down and said if we're going to enslave one person so that 5 people can live better lives, obviously no. I would say no, we don't have slavery. I don't want slavery. I would happily give up all of our phones. I actually would, in order to get Foxconn shut down.
I don't think we have to give up our phones. That's not a thing that can happen. But okay, let me give.
If we could, I would.
Let me give you another shitty aspect of Amazon. I ordered a pack of screens the other day. Where Curiouser ordered them for me. It was a pack of 500. It was a decent sized pack, but it's still only a thing that is this big, right? 500 screens is still not that big. It came in a little metal tin, still not that big. The waste in the packaging that it came in was outlandish.
Well, yeah, but also imagine the land where that shit was mined and dug up, and then imagine the people who had to do that. I would say the people at the very bottom of that had the shortest end of the stick, right? And then you've got the people who had to transport that to a place to have it processed, and then those people process it, and then they send it somewhere else in order to have it actually manipulated and made into the product, and then somebody else has to. There's the global supply chain is fucking crazy, and
I don't think my screens were mined in Africa. Will
you're talking about screens for your pipes and your bongs and stuff?
Yeah.
They might have been, or they might have been in Russia, or they might have been in Ukraine or Australia, or Canada possibly. I don't think we do much of that here. Where do we get
stainless steel from?
I think most of what's in America nowadays comes from Canada, if I'm not mistaken, but a lot of it does come from Africa. Yeah. China.
Now, China, I knew that. China does have a steel base.
But yeah, I think that a lot of this stuff is I hate to sound like a neo-lib, but maybe I might be a neo-lib. I don't know. These things have got to happen somewhere, right? And if they're happening in places where the most productive thing they can do is to use their natural resources to the end of building their own infrastructure and supporting the American economy, then so be it. Do I like the idea that China sees fit to literally create conditions in which their people can be literally unironically actually enslaved in order to produce our electronics? Do I like that? No.
China China is a very results driven society, and it appears in the last 10 years they've realized that happier workers are actually better, and they're doing a really good job of making their workers happy now as opposed to enslaving them. So
They're certainly on the upswing, but if you look at Foxconn, are you aware of Foxconn?
I am, but that story is how many years old now?
Well, there's things coming out occasionally. It's been less than, I believe, 3 years ago, the last time they had like a big wave of suicides at one of their factories. And they installed nets on the roofs of these places to make it harder for people to jump off.
Well, China's also a very big country, and I'm sure there's a lot of examples and blah, blah, blah. One of the things that I get so worried about with China is because the Western media is so biased and because Chinese media is so closed off and state-run, it's hard to really make an assessment on what's going on. I have, however, had a lot of interactions with actual like Chinese students at my college, and they all told me that the U.S. perception of China as this authoritarian country is not exactly true. That like
I don't think that at all. I hope I didn't suggest that.
No. But like, there's a lot of misconceptions about it, I think, and like, it's just good to point. And I've also pointed out with that point, if I was encountering them at a U.S. university, they probably were from an upper middle class in China as well. So that
Sure.
the existence of poor people and minority groups in China have a much different existence than the upper middle class Chinese person that I went to school with. So
yeah, my point is really just that like the conditions exist for something like Foxconn to happen there, and that just literally couldn't happen here, right? So
what?
We could not have Foxconn having factories here where the workers protest the conditions by committing suicide. That could not happen here.
Well, just because like we don't have the gumption to. Harry Carey is kind of an Asian thing, right? Like that's like an honor. So that's a cultural thing. We would never protest our workspace. And that's not a value judgment on it, but that's a different kind of a cultural significance, right? But
sure,
like,
that further emphasizes my point, though. These are the conditions, and that's happening.
But like, committing suicide in the name of a protest is a lot more common in an Asian society. Like that's the Tibetan monks do it, right? Like, it's an.
They should be
thing.
mindful of that and try their goddamnedest not to allow for conditions in which people would commit suicide in order to protest. So go on.
But you say like things like that don't happen here. But like I can show you, like Hyundai was using child labor. This just came out a couple months ago.
In America?
Yeah, in Alabama.
Oh, based. Put kids to work. Fuck you mean?
Well, I would assume, and I think we confirmed this, was that they were a migrant family, so they were probably paying them fucking nothing and exploiting the children. It's probably a double whammy of bullshit. And you're
They're paying them. If they don't have SSNs, they're getting paid tax free. That's good money.
Not if they're getting paid $2.50 an hour or some shit.
No, if they were getting paid like less than minimum wage, yeah, that's the problem, is they were paying them less than minimum wage, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, but this is also a factory. So we're talking, this is a 17, 18, 19, 20 plus hour job here. The factory also had safety violations for amputations.
It sounds like there's a lot of problems here. I just don't have a problem with the kids working part.
I do. I'm not pro child labor. Like, you know, it's one thing, like maybe there's exceptions in laws for like little Timmy can sweep in front of his dad's store and shit. That's one thing. But like actually putting children to work for 10 hours a day in a car factory to make a rich asshole CEO even richer, that I don't dig that.
Is that literally what happened, though? They were making them work 10 hours a day?
No, I'm not. Now I'm bullshitting.
Because, again, you're saying a lot of things that I agree are problems. People shouldn't be forced to work 10 hours a day. 100% agree. People shouldn't be working places with crazy safety violations. Absolutely. People shouldn't be, yeah, a lot of problems here. But, like, the fact that it was kids doesn't make it worse. Well, maybe the safety thing. I think kids should be extra safe. You know,
Kids aren't safe, or at least I fucking wasn't.
I mean, we should give them safety. You know, like they're going to be idiots. That's why we give them helmets, right?
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Give the kids helmets and slap their asses in them. You know, slap it like not like grab their ass. You know what I mean? Like get in there, buddy, like a football ass slap. You know? God damn it! Don't clip that.
Warlord, where are you at? Please clip that.
Don't clip that. Don't clip that.
There's a whole Discord thread dedicated to clips of Cancel Justin, where my chat tries to get me put on watch lists and shit.
I've given one of my mods, who's also one of my friends, permission. I gave him my keys to the kingdom. He's actually set up a TikTok for me, and he's going to start taking all the terrible things I say and clipping them and putting them on TikTok.
They're even getting, yeah. There's an emote too. There's a Cancel Justin emote. All right. We got really off track. I didn't expect to do politics, but it's been a fun discussion, and it wasn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it wasn't like Justin was antagonizing somebody on the Troll Patrol doing angry debate. It was a chill, laid back, very productive discussion. Very fun. So
we should do that next time.
What? Just politics?
No, the antagonize me thing.
No. Why would I want to do that?
Well, it'd be content. It'd be funny.
Oh, well, see, like, I've had people reach out to me and be like, hey, I would play, you know, a stupid right-winger to help you get content. I'm like, I want it to be genuine. I know, like, you know, that's limiting me. I don't want to, because even when I'm watching videos on the internet, I'm always like, this was staged. I hate this. I don't like staged. I want real.
No, I don't want staged either. I just feel like this has been a really sincere and honest and open conversation. And I just feel like you just held back a few times when you kind of didn't want to. And I feel like if you just weren't holding back, then, you know.
Not at all. Oh, did you think like I should have gone harder on you on Jordan Peterson or something?
I thought you wanted to. I thought you were trying to keep it funny.
I mean, yeah, but like also like clearly, okay, so when there were several times that I kind of was drilling in on something with you, and then I realized, fucking, you just like Jordan Peterson for the lulz. It's not that you agree with the bullshit he's spewing, and fucking I respect that. Like, that's me and Echoplex. That's what, like, we're fucking watching these people for the lulz and shit.
To be clear, though, I think his message is wholesome. I don't think it's harmful.
Well, clean your room is a lot different than these woke Marxists are trying to cancel everybody and postmodernism.
That's out of context, though. That's not his message.
That's the bulk of his message now. If you've just read his book and not listened to the dearth of, he's on fucking, man, there is 3 or 4 hours of Jordan Peterson material like every day, and all he ever talks about is postmodern woke fucking are going to destroy the Western society, which is kind of a Nazi dog whistle.
To be fair, I haven't followed his Daily Wire stuff. I've just seen a couple clips, and he was being really cringe, like leaning into the camera, like, oh, we're going to talk about cleaning your room, but then the Marxists, yeah. So, you know what? I will defer to your expertise on his modern offerings. But as of a couple of years ago, I would say all that stuff was just out of context clips.
Yeah, Mox, if he had stayed in his pop psychology lane, well, see, it can't be out of context when, like, I don't do it. I don't watch Jordan Peterson long form. I just watch the clips. But seriously, we're going to raid Echoplex here in a little bit, and that's what they do. Tonight is conspiracy bingo. I don't know what he's going to be watching. It's probably going to be some Facebooker that gets a 1,000 views because they're like yelling out in front of a hospital or something weird like that. But on Wednesday nights, he does the Intellectual Dollar Tree, and they cover people like Sam Harris, and they're watching a chemtrails documentary right now. That's a voodoo popping in. So that's that's the kind of shit they break down. You need to go over there and watch some of their Jordan Peterson, because like I'll pop in, they're watching like the whole fucking 3-4 hours of Jordan Peterson on some fucking podcast with somebody, or they're doing Brett Weinstein. What do you think about Brett Weinstein?
Is he the fat one or the skinny one?
Aren't they both kind of chubby?
No, one of them's pretty skinny.
I didn't think that. Like, he's the one whose face looks like Leatherface. No, that's Eric.
One of them, the one who has a podcast.
Brett is the one I'm talking about. You have the podcast one. Brett and Heather, the Dark Horse podcast.
Retards, yeah.
No,
like intellectual retards.
You have to come. Okay, so I agree. I understand the way you're using the word.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, man, just acquiesce, because like.
All right, I got you. Baby brains.
I'll explain. I'll explain to you the reason why it's like a hurtful stereotype to people.
If it's the autism thing, I'm an autist, so that I get. It's like the N word for me.
Yeah, like how Rob Noah tried to accuse me of being homophobic. I'm like, I suck dick, motherfucker. So also, you know, I'm not gay, right? Like I'm just like. I'm open to everybody. I'm just into it.
I don't know. You can fuck whoever you want, man. I don't care. As long as I don't have to watch.
You could if you wanted to. You can join, man. You're a good-looking guy. I'd nail some bitches with you.
I appreciate the offer, but I'm happily taken. Thank you.
Oh well, I wish you the best. Are you already trying to start the family? Are you jizzing in her nightly?
That will begin the moment she's like, you know what, it's time. She knows I'm ready, and I know she'll be ready, you know, in the near future.
She taking care of like her professional life at the moment?
Something like that, yeah.
All right. So I'm sorry to get a little personal.
Oh, you're good. I'll answer anything I can as honestly as I can.
Well, no, we're in like friendship territory there. That's probably like a conversation for you and I to have off of the stream, not on the stream. You
know how it is, man. You smoke a joint with somebody, you're kind of like homies, right? Isn't that how it works?
We're long past smoking joints with each other, dude.
That's what I'm saying. We just picked up where we left off.
Pretty much. It's been a blast fucking talking to you. But now
man.
I had all these stories that we've got, so let's do rapid fire real fast. You want to?
Let's go.
So first, I was really excited about one headline I wanted to read you, because I think you're really going to enjoy this. Are you ready?
I do have to go in like 15 minutes, though.
That's what we're doing rapid fire.
Okay.
Are you ready for this headline?
I've been ready, yes.
A Christian influencer gets holy water implants.
That sounds like bad grammar or something. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, I see.
Christian influencer, so like a TikTok influencer, has now gotten breast implants that aren't saline, but are holy water. Also,
I think. Okay, I'm sorry.
Is this a satire website?
Yeah, it says satire there at the top.
Oh, okay. It's because as I thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute.
This is kind of like the Babylon Bee, but for lefties, I'm guessing.
Well, here's the thing: is like this is a totally believable story to me. So I'm
going to be honest with you. I wouldn't believe this. I didn't believe it, but now that I've seen the satire, I think someone would actually follow through and do it in order to gain notoriety. I
don't see why they wouldn't. Or why not you just get breast implants and you say that they were holy water just for the lulz.
Yeah, you can't prove it, and also there's nothing in the Bible that says you can't get breast implants.
Well,
she could get away with it, is my point.
I guess. I don't.
Well, I might do it.
I don't. There was a wrestler in the WWE in like 95, 96. Maybe a little later, maybe 97. Maybe we were in like the Jerry Springer era hardcore. He was going to get breast implants.
Fuck it. I mean, if that's what builds your brand and that's what makes you happy, go for it.
OnlyFans model jailed for 6 years for posting explicit content.
yeah, if she's in Myanmar,
Yeah.
I have no sympathy for people who do things that are illegal, knowing that what they're doing is illegal. It's,
So you're not a fan of civil disobedience?
not in Myanmar, no. This doesn't seem to be like within their Overton window. Yeah, this is probably a bad move. She probably should have moved first.
I'm like, isn't it a form of protest to do this? For
No.
free speech and free expression?
No. No, I don't think so. I think that in America, we have very limited like range of what's acceptable in terms of protest, right? And I think theirs is just more limited. Well, they might have better protest laws in some ways. They might be able to stand in streets and, stop traffic and stuff. Who knows? But if the way they want to protest being able to do OnlyFans stuff is by doing, that would be like saying, I think people should be able to kill people, and I'm going to protest by killing people.
I was trying to do rapid fire stupid shit. We went down another rabbit.
I don't know how to do this. How do you do it? What am I doing wrong?
Oh, no, you didn't do anything wrong. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Fantastic conversation. Now, that was an excellent point.
My Asperger's is acting up now.
No, it's just that I want so desperately to have a 15-minute response to that, and then you have another 15-minute response. That can't happen right now.
It's just too deep. It's too good.
It is. I think this is a local news hit. I think they're going to tell us what happened. I like it better when I don't have to read it. Apparently, it's just a raw video. A woman is in custody after stabbing a man several times after he found her making adult content for OnlyFans.
Say that one more time.
A woman is in custody after stabbing a man several times after he found her making adult content for OnlyFans.
So that doesn't cover what actually happened. Yeah.
Police said the man came home to find his significant other creating adult content on OnlyFans. Police said the two started arguing, and at some point she grabbed a knife and started making slashing motions. Now, clearly they've got other issues as a couple, right? Like, it's not just the OnlyFans. It's the OnlyFans thing that got this on my radar. Would you sub to her? She's cute.
No, I think she's hideous. And also, I would never sub to anyone on OnlyFans.
Sure.
But like, if you were like, hey, I have like a picture of this girl that's really hot, would you want to see it? I would say no. I don't find her remotely attractive at all. And also, there's something about a girl who stabs people that's a real turn off for me too.
They say if someone says that all of their exes are crazy, they're probably the crazy one. But I think it's just like, I'm attracted to a certain kind of woman. I have a certain kind of personality. And, I mean, it's not like I haven't been stabbed.
Have you been stabbed?
I don't think she actually, I dated a crack whore in 2007, 2000. I don't think she actually, like, broke skin or anything. She definitely pushed me through a screen door while trying to stab me with a knife, yes.
You deserve so much better, man. You get the fuck away from these crazy chicks, man. It's not worth it.
We had some wonderful sex. It was like, there were good things about my, and also here's the thing: is like it's not that I deserve so much better. No. When I got together with her, she had her life in order. Like she was doing quite well and was in line to be like district manager of Olin Mills.
Olin Mills, is that like a photography studio?
Yeah, that's how we met. I was the studio manager of an Olin Mills, and she was in line to be like the district manager. But like our first night together, like she came down to help me for the Easter rush, or came up. She lived in Johnson City, Tennessee. I was in like outside of Roanoke at the time, in Blacksburg. So she came up to be like, the other person in the studio during Easter because we were going to be slammed. This would have been like the first week of April or something. And then she had a friend that lived nearby, and we were out to dinner, and I had just happened to have I had a pot dealer at this time that lived outside of Christiansburg. It was in Floyd. You might have heard of Floyd Fest in Virginia.
Yeah.
So like that's where he lived, back up in the rural part of the mountains. And he was my pot dealer because he grew pot. But he was also a meth dealer because he made meth back up in the mountains. So like he would just give me some when I'm buying pot, right? And on this particular day, he had given me like fucking like like half an ounce of meth. I had like 5 or 6, because I had a real bad issue with pain pills at the end of the 2000s. So I had like 5 or 6 Percocets, and then I had, plenty of weed. I always have weed. So she invites her friend to go to dinner and everything. We're at this Mexican restaurant, and then I take them back to my apartment. And like first night with this girl, we end up having a threesome. We're doing meth. It was like fantastic. They'd even the managers of the Yola Mills actually took a bet of whether she would check into her hotel room or not, because apparently like they knew that we would hit it off. So like it was, and then like I was probably just as much of a bad influence on her as she was on me, you see?
See, okay, maybe you don't deserve better, or you didn't, but you can.
Okay, no. But so I'm the studio manager of Nolan Mills. I'm doing well in life. I live in this old Victorian house that's been remodeled into apartments on like the main street of Christiansburg, Virginia. Like, I'm doing well. I'm not doing meth all the time, and I probably would have, had she not come over that night, I probably would have thrown that shit to the side, done my pain pills, smoked my pot, and played video games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the two of us together brought out the worst in each other. So it's not like a, she was toxic for me, but, a mutual toxicity in the city.
I'm trying so hard to avoid getting into a conversation about, like you said, there's like 10-15 minutes of stuff that I want to say now.
All right, I need to let you go. SirWarmups, please.
Yeah. Tell
everybody where they can catch you at on social media.
Yeah, I don't really do social media. But I'm SirWarmups here on Twitch. I have an Instagram that I post a picture to like twice a year. It's Mups of War, because Warmups was taken there. And then there's SirWarmups on TikTok, where there's one video of me explaining why Alex Jones never did anything wrong. And I'm working on some other out of context clips as well. Yeah.
Once again, for the lulz, you gotta preface that.
I don't understand what he did wrong, but I'm trying to understand is the thing. So maybe you guys can explain it to me on TikTok.
All right, my friend. To wrap up the show, we always do. What did you learn tonight?
What did I learn? I learned that you're an awesome guy. Well, I already knew that. I learned that I honestly thought your audience would fucking hate me, and they've mostly bitten their tongue on stuff, and that's cool.
I don't think they've bitten their tongue on anything.
Well, they haven't said anything especially hurtful, so thanks, guys. It's been real.
No, I didn't think they would hate you at all, my friend.
Yeah.
So if you are watching on Twitch, we're going to head over to Echoplex Media. Producer Dave is going to take real good care of you. On Conspiracy Bingo, go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We will see you Sunday night on the Troll Patrol. Live.